All right, welcome to the channel, guys. Me and Nick are back to record again about beta. So today we're going to be grading every single card in the beta set, starting with the ordinaries. We're going to break it into 4 videos, we decided. So ordinaries, exceptionals, elites, and then uniques. We will do, if you want to catch us talking about the format as a whole, we did a format overview recently, so watch that video. Just like we did in that video, we're going to be talking about the beta format, not the alpha format. So with Spellslinger as the default avatar, and then you can have any number of the draft sites. All right, anything you want to mention before I go over the grades?
Oh, hey mates, thanks for having me. Super excited about this series again. Perhaps the only thing I would mention is like how the elements are divided. So we put fire on top. Second, with a very small gap, I would say, is earth. Then there's air, and then we do not really prefer water if we can. But of course, there are some good cards in there, so let's go over all of it.
Yeah, so the grades we're going to use an A through F grading scale. So A's are bombs that win the game on their own, or when you're behind, they put you back into a winning position. Really swingy cards like that. B's are solid removal spells, ways that you immediately get 2-for-1s, or really powerful minions that are really sticky and not easy to remove, stuff like that. C's are just kind of the pawns of your deck. You're not really happy to play them, you're not unhappy to play them, but you're going to end up playing a bunch of them. And then D's are cards that you really don't want to play, but you might have to put a couple of them in your deck just to make playables. And then F's are cards that I'll basically never put into a deck under any circumstance. And then we'll have some build around grades, cards that with other cards in your deck might get a little bit better. So we'll point out those combos as we go along. Okay, so we're starting with Earth again. Overpower is the first card. It is 1 mana, 1 Earth threshold for an ordinary magic, and it says give an ally +2 power this turn. I gave this a D+. I think it's like reasonable sometimes. Like if you absolutely need a playable to put in your deck, like this isn't that bad. Like it's 1 mana and it can just be a removal spell. What do you think about Overpower?
Yeah, I think I had it with C-. For me, it's complete filler. I would always love other cards over it, but I think with the rule changes, it has become a little bit better because now you can actually deal 2 damage to a side more. But the reality is just like, when is this card good? If I can kill with my 2-part minion your 3-part minion, then it's like a cheap removal spell. But it doesn't happen that often. Or you want to buff your ranged minions, but also there it just doesn't happen that often. So C-, I prefer something else. Okay, next cards. Our first minion is the Wild Boars for 1 mana. It's a 2-part creature, an ordinary beast with brindled bristles. So vanilla. In the beginning, I really disliked all the 1 mana 2-part minions for the very simple reason, like, yes, you can cast this in your first turn, but sorcery, your realm has to evolve. You cannot attack your opponent in the second turn because you're not connected. So I was like always like, why do not just play your second site or your second turn and then cast a 2 mana 2-part minion there, which is the same that the Wild Bird would take 1 step. So I was not a fan, so I had it really at a D. I would never ever play it, but then I learned actually that you can go very aggressive, and then the 1 mana is actually something you can cast a 2 and a 1 mana minion on your 3rd turn. So I now am not against playing it. It's really about tempo. So I would say, yeah, C in the right deck.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. I have it at C-, but yeah, it's like a completely reasonable minion. Like there's not really anything wrong with it. It's just a 2-part minion. It's just as vanilla as it gets. Elveline Dryads is next. 2 mana, 1 Earth threshold for a 1 power ordinary spirit, and it provides 1 mana. So when it enters, I believe it provides 1 mana, and then at the beginning of your turn, it'll provide a mana. So I don't know. I basically have never played this card, but I guess if you have some like really powerful 8 drops or something, which there are some in Earth, maybe I could see playing this, but it's a 1 power minion, and deserts are around, so it's gonna die. You're gonna want to just like keep it in your back row, so it's like a really bad core, I guess. What do you think about it?
Yeah, for me it's an F. I never
Okay.
play this card, as you say. So my general rules about 1 part minions, they suck. Do not play with them, just because their impact is not there. Doing 1 damage a turn, it's not happening. And as you say, this is more like a facilitator, right? It's a mana rock, but it's a mana rock that can easily die. So you want to keep it at the back row, so it will never attack. And so basically, this is only useful if you get it in the first 4 or 5 turns. But if you withdraw it later in the game, it's like, no, so this is horrible. I would never play with this.
Okay, I'm good with F.
Boss Troll, 2 mana for a 3-part minion, an ordinary troll of gentle disposition. Boss Troll, if you talk about the stat line, 1 for 1, 2 for 2, 3 for 3, this is way above the stat line. Not only because it's 1 power more than your casting cost, 2 mana for 3 power, but it is very early game. It is so fast. And it hits hard. I mean, I think we all learned one of the first thing like, whoa, Boss Troll is really good. And you also see it in constructed nowadays less because they know with hollows, etc. to counter it. But yeah, I think in a limited Boss Troll for me, I think is a solid B even.
Okay.
Or B minus.
Yeah, I have it at B minus. Pretty solid. Common Sense is next. 2 mana, 1 Earth Threshold, ordinary magic. Search your spellbook for an ordinary card, reveal it, put it in your hand, shuffle your spellbook. This is just fantastic. You'll never cut this from your deck. You're going to have tons of things to search for it. Like most of the cards in your deck are going to be ordinaries. So just a whole toolkit in 1 card is pretty amazing. And you don't have to build around it at all. You just have to draft a deck of sorcery and you'll be able to make use of it. So I have it at C+. I could even see it being higher than that. I do take it very highly. So what do you grade it?
Yeah, it's funny. I'm probably one of the less players that do not like the cards. I know it's a great card. I mean, it speaks for itself because you can search for whatever you want. But I always have this feeling like it also takes a spot in my deck. And like, let's say I have 3 removal spells in my deck and 1 common sense, I can search for a removal spell. I am always like, but why don't I just add another removal spell in my deck? Then the chances to draw it, it's more or less the same. But I truly understand if you have a dispel and a bury cards with different effects, it gives you away options. So, but I struggle with this card always. So I have it at C minus. And if I can, I will not play with it actually.
Wow.
Which is,
okay.
I know,
Interesting.
very strange. No. Then we go to Dispel, 2 mana for an ordinary magic. Destroy all auras and artifacts at target location up to 2 steps away. This card as a whole is fantastic. It is premium removal of auras and artifacts. The only thing is in limited, it is unsure. There is a small chance that your opponent is actually playing with an artifact or an aura that has an effect on the board. And then they still have to draw it and be able to play it because it's not that they have like 4 in the deck. So although this spell is great, I actually never put it in my deck and I just learned to deal with the fact if my opponent has something nutty of artifact, then I just struggle with it. But the times that I had a dispel in my hand, which is not a minion and does not have any effect on the board, just hurts. And I lose more games by putting it in my deck and be safe against that 1-2 times that it occurs. So I just never put it in my deck anymore.
Yeah.
So I would say D actually.
Okay. Yeah, I have as an F. Like, if you do look at all of the auras and the artifacts that are good, like there are some amazing cards that you can blow up with this. Early in the days, did they used to play best of 3?
No.
Was it pretty much always best of 1?
Yeah. Always.
Yeah. There's probably some world where if sorcery ended up being like best of 3 and you had a common sense, you could like side this in game 2 if they had some good aura or something to blow up with it. But yeah, in the world that we live in, I think Dispel is just an F basically.
Completely.
Exorcism is next. It is 2 mana, 1 earth threshold for an ordinary magic. Banish all demon and undead minions at target location up to 2 steps away. This can hit some stuff, I guess. Like I think I would play this over a Dispel because it at least hits like some things. Like you can at least get like a 1-for-1 with it, and like I don't know. I think they're probably more likely to be playing undead or demons than to be playing artifacts and auras. But anyway, it's still like a D. Like I'm not putting this in my deck unless I have to.
Yeah, completely. There are just not enough good demons or undead minions that makes it worth it. And some of the undead minions just come back. So, but then you can banish them, but they are not that impactful. So no, complete F. Never play with Exorcism. Then 2 mana for Grey Wolves for a 1 powered minion or 1+ question mark powered minion, because it's a Ravenous Pack of Ordinary Beasts. It says your spellbook may include any number of Grey Wolves, has +1 power for each other Grey Wolves nearby. So this is a constructed card in limited. This is a complete F. Never play with it because basically it's a 2 mana for 1 power minion. I remember one that had drafted 6 of them. And it's just horrible because, yes, if you would have all 6 in your hand and you can play them turn 2, 3, 4, 5, then it's happened. But what happens is that by the best, it becomes a 2-part, perhaps a 3-part minion. And even then, it is not, I mean, it will shrink again once it has attacked and blocked and the first one died. So, no, very bad. Do not do it.
Yep, I agree. F. Lance Surveyor, 2 mana, 1 earth threshold for a 1 power ordinary mortal, and it has Genesis Draw Sight. I used to be really low on this because 1 power minions suck, and sights aren't the same as spells, but there is some reason to want to get to like 6 or 7 mana, so I have come around on it, and I think this is just a fine card. Like it's no Leprechaun, but it's still a reasonable card, so I give it a C.
Okay. I give it a D, D-. I'm still on never play this card because for the sole reason, I mean, it was not even good with Sorcerer, but now with Spellslinger. At a certain moment in time, Spellslinger doesn't do anything except of drawing sights again. And so basically this card is only useful if you could put it on turn 2, actually, perhaps on turn 3, but then I actually want to cast a 3-part minion. And even then, the effect, what do you get, a 1-part minion? Like, no, like my Spellslinger will draw the extra sides, not for me, this card. Although I do understand that at the right time, drawing that side, you don't have to draw it. It will speed you up. But if you draw this on turn 7, 8, like, oh, no. Okay, Miracle Workers. 2 mana for a 1-part minion, an ordinary mortal. With a Genesis ability, you may return a minion that died this turn from your cemetery to your hand. So, this was an interesting card that took some time to figuring out. So for me, I have it now at a D, D-. I never play with it anymore for the very sole reason that I mean, if you can set it up properly, then it is okay. Then I would say it's a C to C+. And the best setup is like turn 2 your boss troll. You can trade it with another 3-part minion. You cast your Miracle Worker, you have your boss troll. And then preferably you are able to cast it directly again. The better version is if you have an Amazon Warrior and you can kill an Amazon Warrior and then you can get your Amazon Warrior back. But then the same question is like, and I understand the answer is not that simple, but instead of having a Miracle Worker, why don't you put another Amazon Warrior or another good minion in your deck? Then you don't have to go through the hassle. And the worst thing with Miracle Worker is if you're behind, the game has slowed down and you have to top deck, and then you top deck this without anything relevant in play, or your minions are too far away, then it's a dead card and it potentially costs you the game. And the other way around, you cannot interact with it. So if your opponent is pushing and he's killing your minions, you will never get the effect. So I don't think Miracle Workers, although I like the design, is not a good card in Limited.
Okay, I have it at C-. I'll put it in a deck sometimes, but I definitely prefer not to play 2 mana, 1 power minions. Scenthound is next. This is 2 mana, 1 earth threshold for a 2 power ordinary beast. It says nearby enemies permanently lose stealth. I don't really know how relevant stealth is in beta. It's a lot more relevant in R13 Legends. So this is basically just 2 mana, 2 power as far as I'm concerned. So I give that a C minus.
Yeah, I think because most of the time we draft the beta with Arthurian Legends, and in Arthurian Legends you have a lot of stealth, so it has gone up. So I give it a C. I would prefer other 2-part 2 minutes, but I don't mind it. It's like a safety against stealth. But if you only draft beta, then stealth is not relevant, and then it's just a vanilla 2 mana 2-part minion. Next one is 2 mana for Unravel, an ordinary magic that says destroy all artifacts and undead minions at a location up to 2 steps away. We talked about artifacts, so that is here the same. Undead minions, there are no really undead minions, so this is a complete F. Do not play this card.
Yeah, I don't understand. Why do we dispel Exorcism and Unravel? Like, that is so strange. Like, they could have just put all 3 of those effects on one card and it would still be like a D.
I think this is the base set, so perhaps now with Gothic, etc., like these cards will start to evolve over time.
That's true.
As it stands today, nope.
Yeah.
No reason.
For this one, I looked it up, and it's Dapral Vampires, Infernal Legion, Nightmare, Scourge Zombies, and Spectral Stalker are the undead that I could find. And like some of those cards are good, but like the chances that they're playing like one of those 5 specific minions is so low that you just can't play this card. Okay, moving on. Belmont Longbowman is 3 mana, 1 earth threshold for a 3 power ordinary mortal, and it has ranged. I gave this a B minus. I think it's really easy to cast, single threshold, 3 power with ranged. That's just a lot. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I have it at C to C plus. I give the plus more because it's a 3-part minion. I think range is overrated because ranged you actually see it on the boards. So what makes ranged good is if you can manipulate movement. So if you have blink, etc., then it really gets a big bump. But just having it there without the extra movement, yeah, it's like chess. I see it in the board. I will not be adjacent to your longbowman. And yes, in the beginning of the game, it has more input because it forces your opponent to not be there. But as the game progresses, it becomes less relevant. So yeah, C+, it's a good card. I will always take it and play with it. But yeah, B- is too high for me. Next one, Bone Rebel, 3 mana for a 1-part minion, ordinary undead. There we have one of the undeads. Whenever you play an earth site, you may summon Bone Rebel from your cemetery to that site. Absolute garbage, complete F. 1-part minion will always die. And here the trigger is like you have to summon an earth site, not even just a site. And then you cannot even choose where it comes. It's on that site. And if you understand, like after turn 5, 6, your sites are not in the center, right? So even then the impact is not there. So, and what are the chances? If at best it comes back 2 times, and even then it will not have the impact. So nope.
Yep, that's fair. Yeah, I gave it a D minus, but I've never put it in a deck. So, Border Militia is next. This is 3 mana, 1 earth threshold for an ordinary magic. Summon a foot soldier token to each site you control that borders an enemy site. So you can get, typically I just see like 3 mana for 3 power, basically. Sometimes you might be able to get a 4th, but on turn 3, you'll probably get 1 or 2. So this is kind of a weird card. Like you never play this on curve. And you do get like a decent amount of power out of it, I guess. Like, I don't know. I was never really a big fan of this card, but it has overperformed, so I have been moving it up in my pick order. I don't really know why it's better than a 3 mana 3 power minion, or like on par with a 3 mana 3 power minion, but it kind of does feel like it is. So I give it a C plus, and I can't really explain why.
I agree with your C plus because moving it to B minus is too much. I would never move into a color for Border Militia. But I would always be happy with having 2 Border Militias in my deck. And the reason is very simple. It is not a quick card, so it's more like if you can stall to the middle game, so the longer you wait, the better it gets. So 3 for 3 is easy. 3 for 4, it is possible, and 3 for 5 is also possible late game. So 3 mana for 5 power is insanely good. 3 for 4 is also above the curse, so very good, and 3 for 3 is fine. And it's like an offensive or a defensive card, and the offense is very simple. If you have 3 mana for 4, you have a lot, and the thing is, like, they are different tokens, so they will, even if your opponent has other minions and they will die, you will get 2 damage in easily, and potentially more, because they just spread out. They're everywhere. And I think the other reason, the defending part, is even more important. If you are behind, or better, if it's equal position, you suddenly have 3 or 4 blockers. And so whatever the opponent has, these are just jumpers. They save, like, I don't know, 4, 8, 10 points of life just because of the one card. And that makes a real game changer. And yeah, I love Border Militia. Very, very strong. Well, strong C+. Then we come to bury 3 mana for an ordinary magic. Burrow target minion or artifact if able. This is C+ to B-, probably B-. It is just the absolute removal spell, as long as your opponent doesn't play with water, of course. But having the choice between minions and even artifacts, if it's then really necessary, you can bury the artifacts. Yeah, this is the best removal spell in beta, I think. So yeah, very, very strong card.
Okay, I went as far as giving it a B+, which I think is about what I give like Amazon Warriors. So I think it's like up there with those cards. And like Geomancer, I think I rate like pretty high too. It's like a B or B+. Yeah, obviously incredible removal spell. It's like the OG, like 3 mana kill anything basically.
Yeah, but for me, the B is really, does it move me into a color? I don't know. If I can choose like a strong minion and then a bury, I will always go for the minion. But yeah, it's like premium removal stuff. So I can agree on a B, but it will not really pull me into that element.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, Cave Trolls is next. 3 mana, 1 Earth Threshold for a 3 power ordinary troll. It has burrowing, and that's just a legit card. So I'm always happy to have a 3 mana, 3 power minion, and burrowing comes up sometimes. Like it can't be buried. It can't be killed with bury, I should say. And sometimes like they play an Amazon Warriors right on top of your cave troll or something, and the only way to get away from it is to just burrow away from it. So it does come up. It is definitely upside. I give it a C+. You're always going to play it.
Yeah, same. I'm happy to pick this in on my pick 4 or 5. It's fine. The thing is, like in general, of burrowing and submerge, actually it doesn't happen. It's not that relevant, as we figured out over time, just because you cannot attack sites underground, so you have to be. So most of the time I just cast these things on top and they actually never burrow. But it could happen that somebody buries something and you can then burrow to get an artifact back or whatever. So if an opponent has a root spider, then this becomes a B+. I mean, it can actually kill root spiders. So yeah, it's just an upside. So C+ is probably right. Then we have Mage Slayer, a 3 mana, 1 Earth Threshold, 2-part minion. An ordinary mortal, which has a Genesis ability, kill target spellcaster minion nearby. This is rubbish. There are just no important spellcasters. And funnily enough, I once won because my opponent had to play this card, and he actually had an Apprentice Wizard, which is a spellcaster, and the Genesis ability is forcing, and he actually had to kill his own spellcaster. So
Oh, jeez.
It doesn't happen that often. So basically, it's a 3 mana for a 2-part minion. That's it. That's for me like a D. I never play with Mage Slayer.
Wow, that's so funny. I didn't see that. You have to kill your own thing with it. Yeah, so I did a quick search, and the only like playable spellcasters are like Adept Illusionist, which is just a 2 mana 2-power minion, and then Wicked Witch, which I don't even know if that's a good card. We'll get to it eventually, but okay. So yeah, I gave it a D+, but yeah, I mean it is a 3 mana 2-power minion, so I guess that's okay. Maybe you play it sometimes if you really need to.
It's not okay. Never play it.
Entangled Terrain is next. 4 mana, 2 Earth Threshold for an ordinary aura. It says minions occupying affected sites lose airborne and are immobile. It lasts for 3 of your turns. So this card, I was always super low on this card. I had it as like a D minus. But then I have heard through the grapevine and I've seen it played against me. Like, I think you've beaten me with this card before, where you just like put it on like 3 or 4 of my sites with like a bunch of my minions on it, and they're all just like locked down, and then you can just like attack around it, and they just can't do anything about it. Or like locking them down on your own sites used to be a thing. But yeah, it's funny because I was slowly coming up on this. I had it at like a C or like C plus, and then the rule change happened, and now I'm like back down to like, I think it's like a D plus. But do you think this card still has some utility after the rules changes?
I don't know because I don't dare play it anymore. But as you say, I was the same. I gave it a D. I never wanted to play in it until I understood that if you are on death's door and you cast Entangled Terrain, basically your opponent minions cannot block anymore, and my avatar can kill the other avatar. That's how I started learning about this card. And then I started playing with it. Maximum 1 in the deck, but then like if you could position it correctly, it just wins you the game. 3 turns in Sorcery, if you can lock out 2 minions, it is a huge deal. That is so much damage. But I agree with you now with the nerf, like if you have to play this on, it doesn't work on minions on your side because they can still now deal damage. So before I was definitely C plus to even a D minus. Now it's I don't dare to play it, so yeah, C minus. I guess you can still force it, but it's really has become very difficult, I think.
Interesting to note, I think this is the first double threshold card that we've reviewed. Yeah, and it's the only double threshold Earth ordinary in the whole set. That's so crazy. Like looking at Arthurian Legends, they have so many double threshold cards. Beta is just such a different world.
Yep.
Okay.
Next one, Scourge Zombies. 4 mana for 1 Earth Threshold 2-part minion. Ordinary undead. Whenever an allied mortal dies on land, you may summon Scourge Zombies from your cemetery to its location tapped. This is personal history for me. I thought it was a very bad card when it was Sorcerer together with the Humble Villages, etc. And then I learned that this card is actually good to extremely good. And then I started drafting 2 or 3 of them together with border militias and some villages. And my God, they are so annoying and they just outperform and outvalue your opponents. It's really, but then I really want to have 2 or 3 in my deck. It is costly to play them, but then it's so annoying to deal with. But a matter of fact, now with the changes of the sites and you don't have the villages anymore, there are not that many mortals, especially not in beta. So when it's mixed beta with Arthurian Legends, you can actually go for a lot of mortals. So yeah, it has been nerfed because of the change of the sites a lot, in my opinion. So now I still consider it. So it has gone to a C. I think it's still okay. But before, I really would give it a C plus, and if you could build around it, even a B minus.
Wow, that's crazy. I never knew about that this was actually just a good card in alpha. That's really interesting, though. Yeah, there were just tons of mortals all over the place, I'm sure.
Yeah, this is one of my secrets because I know that a lot of people still think about it, and I could always easily get 3 of them. But then you have to go for the long game, and yeah, people suffer against them.
Okay. Interesting. So, yeah, I gave it a C minus. I don't think I've ever put this in a deck, but I've played against it, and it does come back. So it does do the thing. The last Earth card that we have is Amazon Warriors. This is 5 mana, 1 Earth Threshold for a 5 power ordinary mortal, and that's it. This is a powerhouse. Obviously, it's like the biggest minion at ordinary, other than Highland Clansman, I guess. I give it a B plus. It's obviously just super important to the format. Like I said in my format or review, like this is the first card I think of when I think of beta draft. Like I want to just open a pack and be able to just take an Amazon Warriors.
Oh. I would prefer the Infernal Legion, but if you're talking about ordinaries, this is the best one. This, without any doubt, it's easy splashable, and it's just very beefy. Okay, then we move to fire. First fire card is the Pit Vipers, a 1 mana, 1 fire threshold for a 1 part minion, a terrifying tangle of ordinary beast with burrowing and lethal. This is a nice card as a concept. It is your removal with lethal. I was never a fan of this card just because of the 1 power. Now this one is different because often it will and stay be burrowed. But the funny thing is, like, it never does really anything except for area control, because your opponent minions will not go there, and if they are smaller minions, they will actually attack. So if it trades against a 2-part minion, it's fine, I guess, but I could always play around it most of the time, or you just have to bite the bullet and just attack through it. It is different if you can manipulate it. So if you have like a grapple shot or something that you can cast, then it's actually quite good, because then you can cast Pit Vipers with grapple shot and just kill a minion for 4 mana. So yeah, I give it a C to C minus. I don't mind putting 1 in my deck, but I just prefer cards that can attack also.
Okay, yeah, I give it a C. I think at this point it makes the deck enough that I give it a C. Raw Dromedary, 1 mana, 1 fire threshold for a 2 power ordinary beast. We already talked about this. I think I gave it a C minus and you gave it a C.
C minus.
Yeah, I think they're all gonna be the same.
No. All right, next one is Sandstorm, 1 mana, 1 fire threshold, an ordinary aura. Affected sites and units atop them can be attacked or intercepted at the start of your turn and dispel Sandstorm. This is complete rubbish. This is an effect for 1 turn. It offers protection, but protection from what? So what is so relevant or valuable that it has to survive for 1 turn? So that would mean, for me, sacrificing a full card. That would mean that your opponent is on death's door because of this card. And I cannot think situations, or you cannot predict this situation to justify putting Sandstorm in your deck. Complete F, never play with this card.
Yeah, absolutely. Next is Beast of Burden. It is 2 mana for a 2 power ordinary beast, and it may carry any number of allied minions. This is kind of a weird movement effect, I guess, is how I've been thinking about it. I do actually use that ability sometimes, so it is just a 2 mana 2 power minion with slight upside, so I give that a C. I think it's playable.
Yeah, I agree. It goes C plus is too high, but this is actually not a vanilla 2 power 2 minion. This is actually something this actually facilitates range. Which makes range very good, although you can also see it on the board, but then now it can move every direction, etc. So yeah, I like Beast of Burden, and also Beast of Burden can take your it has to be minions, so it cannot take your avatar, but yeah, it just gives a lot of movement or threats to the board. So out of the 2-part minions, this is one of my preferred beasts. Then we come to 2 mana critical strike, 1 fire threshold ordinary magic. The next time an ally strikes a unit this turn, it deals double damage. For me, complete D to F, completely unplayable, and the reason it's very simple. If I have to double damage something, so let's say I want to kill with my 2-part minion a 4th-part minion, I kill the big minion, but basically I'm giving a 2-for-1. It's my 2-part minion will die, and I have to cast critical strike. I never want to give 2-for-1s, and I understand that sometimes it could be necessary, but even then, just put another bury or another removal or something. Critical strike is not what I prefer.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree. I give it a D. 2 mana, 1 fire threshold for Firebolt. It's an ordinary magic. Shoot 3 projectiles in the same direction, 1 at a time. Each deals 1 damage. This is classic sorcery right here. I give it a B. It just trades up a lot. Like, it kills all the 3 mana 3 power things, and it deals the death blow. I mean, solid removal.
solid cards. And just that the 3 projectiles are even separated, so you can kill a minion and the avatar will get an extra point of damage. It is so flexible, a very good card. Next one is Mad Dash, 2 mana for 1 fire threshold, ordinary magic as well. Draw a card, then give an ally movement +1 this turn. This is one of the good movement cards, actually. If you have a lot of ranged, if you have like 4-part, 5-part minion, that extra movement is always a surprise. And so if this is a kill spell, if my 4-part minion can kill a 3-part minion because of that one movement and my opponent didn't consider it, it is a free kill spell because you draw your cards. So Mad Dash has the potential to be like a B card, free kill for 2 mana. And otherwise, it just draws you a card. You can just cantrip it. So Mad Dash, it's good. The only thing is, like, I would lower it to C+, because my spots of spells is very limited. And sometimes if I have 6 good cards, I would consider Mad Dash, but often it just falls out because I just prefer other... I would prefer Firebolts over Mad Dash. So it depends a bit on what is in the deck. But movement is great in Sorcery. That's a given.
Yeah, similar to Power of Flight and Grievous Insult, like I think that this card is very underrated, and I usually take advantage of that, and you can wheel it in a draft when there's no reason that this card should wheel. Like this is a premium cantrip, honestly. Like even if you're just using the movement to like get somewhere where they can't block, where they could have been able to block or something, like Mad Dash is just a solid card. And I guess to note, like, you do draw the card before you even choose the ally. That can be important sometimes. Yeah, it's really nice. Just +1 movement is everything that you want. Like, you just get to go where you want to go. Like, it's basically Power of Flight, but you can also use it to get 2 steps ahead instead of just diagonal. Like, it's very good. And you can unburrow and then move a step and attack, that kind of stuff. So lots you can do with +1 movement. Rimland Nomads is next. 2 mana for a 2-power ordinary mortal. It has movement +1, and it takes no damage from deserts, which I don't know why that's even relevant because they only deal 1 damage. It's really weird to me. Maybe it's just flavor, but I give it a C+. Movement +1, like I just said, very important, very good ability. So, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely a C+. D- is going too far, but I think of all the 2-part 2 minions and like the attacking minions, this is really one of the best ones. Like the ability to cast it and block 1 movement extra, like that's a whole lot of range that you can use to block together with other minions. Yeah, I think Rimland Nomads is actually a very good card. So definitely C+ or C++. Okay, Sacred Scarabs, 2 mana for a 1-part minion, 1 fire threshold, ordinary beast as well, with airborne. That's right, deal 3 damage to each unit here. This is one of the best 1-part minions there is. These, I call them the flying grenades. So what you want to do is attack into a 4-part minion. It will deal 1 damage and then it will blow up 3 damage, killing a 4-part minion. It is airborne, so you cannot easily kill it. You cannot really attack it or you see it. So Sacred Scarabs, and the upside is that if you can, let's say even grapple shot, like if you can explode it on 2 minions or with the avatar will, it's also a finisher. Yeah, Sacred Scarabs is actually very good. So a very solid C+. I don't mind having 3 in the deck. Before, when you can expect that your opponent play with deserts, you had to be very careful. So I learned to not play this card before turn 4, that you would have the T and your other the T, so you can at least cast it safely in the middle. But otherwise, yeah, the Scarabs is a really good card.
Yeah, if your opponent isn't playing fire, this is just a free-for-all. You can just like get wherever you want to go and just 2 mana deal 4 damage to something. And everything at the location, which is relevant sometimes. Yeah, and the airborne is so relevant. They can't just attack it with some random 2-power minion to get it off the board. Like, you are going to get something pretty relevant with this, or maybe it'll just die to some random removal spell. But even then, it's like going to be a good 1-for-1, if not like a 2 or 3-for-1 in some situations. And yeah, combine this with any additional movement. Like if you give this Mad Dash, it can just move anywhere on the board and blow up. Yeah, I give it a B-. Sirocco Scorpions is next. We got a bunch of good 2-power minions in this, or all the 2-mana minions are just really good in fire. This is 2-mana, 2-power, ordinary beast with lethal. And sometimes you're going to trade for another 2-drop, and that's okay. The reason that this is so much better than the Pit Vipers is that it can actually just get in and deal 2 damage, and the Pit Vipers can't really do that. So I give this a C+. The lethal is a real thing, and combine this with Whirling Blades or Grapple Shot, and it just absolutely runs a game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with Grapple Shot, same as 5 mana, you kill anything. I agree. I think Sirocco Scorpions is, I think, one of my most preferred cards to have, at least 2 if I can have them, because doesn't care. Amazon War don't care. They just they can block anything. If they cast whatever a monster 4-part minion on your side somewhere, just cast Sirocco Scorpions, done. And yeah, D minus, B minus to C plus, it's really in that range. Then Violent 2 mana for 2-part minion on fire threshold as well. Ordinary fire starter with a Genesis ability may deal 2 damage to target adjacent units. Violent is nuts. This is probably, I mean, it's on a different level as Amazon War. Amazon War is a tough beast. This guy, it is quickly and he deals damage for free. What do you want? What is the gain that you get? So it's actually a premium removal spell. Often you just in the beginning, you just want to kill their Sirocco Scorpions, for instance, for free. And then you just have a 2-part minion. Yeah, Vile Imp is very strong. I would say the only downside I can think of Vile Imp, that from the middle to end game, if you are winning and you are more on your opponent's side, the effect doesn't do anything. But that is like such a minor detail. Yeah, Vile Imp is just a B on B level.
Yep, I give it a B. Wall of Fire, 2 mana, ordinary aura. Conjure atop the border of a site you control. Whenever a unit passes through Wall of Fire, it takes 3 damage. There's not really much forced movement even in beta that I can think of. So this is basically just like, I'm going to put this on the board and hope you walk through it. Yeah, Wall of Fire. I think all the walls are just Fs.
Yeah, I agree. I will only explain this once, but so it's cute. So what it does is a bit of area control. But the funny thing is, like, over time, you each will have at least 5 to 6 sites, so you just go around it. So the only thing that this card is, it delays the game, but you're sacrificing a full card for this, and I can never justify it. Sometimes I see people with funny decks with 5 of these things in them, and it's a haha, the game takes long, but they just lose always because I mean, if you just put 5 2-part minions in your deck, then you can never compensate for this. So F, and this is true for all the other walls. Next one, 3 mana for a 3-part minion, Aramis Mercenaries with 2 fire threshold. Not, it's really relevant. It says you may discard a random card rather than pay this spell's mana cost. Aramis Mercenaries is special, so it's just a 3 for 3, which is good. That's already C to C+. And the 2 fire threshold is really annoying. So if you are in 3 elements, this is one you have to consider cutting, because you just don't want to get stuck if you don't have, if you have a bit of bad luck and don't have your 2 fire thresholds. But you may discard a random card rather than pay this spell's mana cost. So it rarely happens that you want to do this, because then you are giving away an extra card. But actually, the upside of the tempo is there. It is really dangerous. It is dangerous in the beginning to accelerate, but also, like, if you are need that extra push, and sometimes somebody casts it for you, are so far behind. So although it really never really happens, I think it's still there to have that option. So I'm at the C plus if you can handle the thresholds.
Yep. I agree. Yeah, it's just a cave troll with an extra threshold, or I guess an ogre goons, I should say. And I actually have discarded a random card to cast this like once or twice. It does not happen very often. You shouldn't default to that at all. You should always want to cast this for 3 mana, but if you're in a really tough spot, or yeah, you see some opportunity to to really know that you're going to be pushing the advantage by playing this for free, maybe you can do it. But if you're the newer player, probably just never ever play this for free, because it is not a good deal to just 2-for-1 yourself for a 3-power minion.
Yeah, I remember a game where there was somebody had like a really aggressive fire with a lot of damage, and then I was once surprised that he actually did it. And yeah, it killed me because it was so much advantage. And then because he had a very low curve deck with the sorcerer, he started earlier drawing cards, so he compensated for that one card. But the amount of trouble I was in was really tremendous. Okay, next one is no, it's your turn, right?
Yeah, I'll take it. Boil is 3 mana, 2 fire threshold for an ordinary magic. Destroy all minions occupying target water site up to 2 steps away. I guess it's occupying the site, so it's above and below the site. But they have to be on water, so I guess if you're playing Water Fire, maybe you can play this card. If you're playing Wave Shaper, this gets a little bit better. Even then, it's not a very good removal spell. Like it's like what we talked about with like Cast into Exile almost, where they like have to be on your side of the board. You have to then flood the site they're on if it's not already a water site, and then use it. So I give this like a D if you're in that like specific deck. Otherwise, obviously an F if you're not in water at all.
Yeah, I agree with the F. And so it's a build around fire water card. And then I think it is actually a C+. But you really have to know what you're doing. And then I don't mind getting 2 or even 3 for these. But then you really have to consider it like your berries. But then you have to be very conscious about the positions of your sites. And that means that actually the row before you, they should all be water sites. That is really what makes this card work. If you do not do this, if you place 1 land site somewhere on that row, you will actually lose, and they are not C+, then they are like D. So you really have to have 1 body of water where your opponent is forced to move over water if they want to attack you. And then the card is actually okay to good. And I mean, you want to have berries in your deck, so this is then kind of like a berry, and then you can easily have 3 of them, and then it's really playable.
Yeah,
but not easy.
It's like Stormy Seas, right?
Yeah, but that costs 4 mana.
Yeah.
All right, next one is Cauldron Crones, 3 mana for a 1-part minion, 1 fire threshold. Ordinary mortal. This one is a spellcaster with a Genesis ability. You may sacrifice another minion here to draw a spell. I give this a complete F. I never play this, so the gimmicky thing about this card is like, hey, but what about if you sacrifice a soldier? Then you actually can draw a card. Yes, but you just play the bad cards. So why do not you just replace this bad card with the card that you would like to draw? So the only reason would be if you want to thin your deck, if you want to draw a lot of cards, but that is not the thing in limited draft. So no, Cauldron Crones F. Never ever.
Yep, I agree. It's an F. Heat Ray is next. It is 3 mana, 1 fire threshold for an ordinary magic. Shoot a piercing projectile, deal 2 damage to 1 unit at each location along its path. This card is insane on turn 3. Like if they go camel into scorpion or something, and then you just like play this and get a 2-for-1. It's piercing projectile, so it can get the death blow from like anywhere on the board, basically. Yeah, super powerful. The thing that I'm not sure about is if it's better or worse than Firebolts, but I give it a B. What do you think?
Oh, that's high. Yeah, I agree with everything you said. It's like the ultimate finisher, like the piercing stuff. That is just amazing. Like if you compare it with all the other ones, lightning bolts, that there you have like the chance to missing the targets. Firebolts, probably when you're at death's door, they have minions before. Grapple shot also. Heat ray doesn't care. They just outright kill your opponents. And also it happens a lot that there are 2 minions on the same row. If you combine Heat Ray with a Firebolt, that is really devastating because everything gets 2 damage and then it finishes off. So yeah, Heat Ray is very good, at least 1. I never put 2 in my deck, I think. I could if I have nothing else. Yeah, B to B minus for me. Next one, Minor Explosion, 3 mana, 2 fire thresholds, ordinary magic. Deal 3 damage to each unit at target location up to 2 steps away. Minor Explosion is also very strong, so the only limiting factor is the 2 steps away. So if you are a bit further in the game where the realm has spread out, it can be annoying that you cannot really reach that Amazon warrior and you don't then have the time to step towards it, etc. But that is the only downside. The upside is that sometimes, so there is this general rule that I have and most people in Sorcery, if you can, do not place 2 minions on the same side. And this is actually exactly the reason why. And sometimes even I am forced to actually do it because taking the risk, because otherwise I'm too far behind. And if you then get minor explosions, that costs you the game. So at the very minimum, it's also a finisher. Yes, sometimes you have to walk to your opponent and it can take a few steps, but you will get there. Minor explosion, very strong. It can also kill boss trolls, which are very fast. Together with deserts, etc., it can also kill, or your 2 mana minion can then trade off. That's also 2 for 1 to kill an Amazon warrior. Yeah, minor explosion is just good. So I have it at same B minus, I think.
Okay. I went as far as giving this a B plus. I don't know. It's just like all of the action that happens throughout the whole game. Like most of it happens in that like T in front of you or the T in front of them. Like if you're behind, you don't even have to move. You can just cast this and kill something for 3 mana. And if you're ahead, then you can just take a step forward and blow something up. Yeah, the range on this is pretty awesome. Like you might have to move a little bit, but yeah, incredible finisher. It will get 2 for 1 sometimes, and that can just win you the game sometimes. So yeah, great when you're behind, great when you're ahead. So I give it a B plus, but
Yeah,
maybe that's a little bit too far.
No, I understand what you're saying, and it's true what you say, but it happens less than I would expect. And therefore, I would say, like, often Fireballs more or less does the same thing as Minor Explosion, and it costs 1 mana less and it's 1 threshold less. So, but sometimes the upside of Minor Explosion is so high, and that you don't have with Fireball. So, yeah, it really depends a bit on who you are playing as well.
Okay, Ogre Goons is next. This is 3 mana for a 3 power ordinary ogre. I give this a C plus. Honestly, I had this kind of dilemma as I was doing the grades, and I was like, do I just give every 2 mana 2 power minion a C instead of a C minus? Like in Arthurian Legends, they would all be C minuses, but in beta, it's harder to get to playables. Like there's all this junk in the packs. Are they all just C's, and are all the 3 mana 3 power minions just C plus or even higher? Like
That's what my feeling says, and it's just because if you just draft beta, as we discussed in the overview, like the half of a beta booster is really not good. So you only have like 7 cards, and then actually I'm happy with. I love goons. I think goons are. I mean, 3-part minions in beta, they win you the game. I want to have 7 in my deck. They just hit hard and fast. So I love goons. Perfect, simple, 1 threshold. It does what it does. So yeah, it's a C plus. It's not just vanilla. I really want to have like 3 goons in my deck. I would prefer 3 Amazon Wars or then 3 Sandworms, but if I cannot have them, then it's goons. Yeah, sure. Next one, Spin Attack. 3 mana, 1 fire threshold, ordinary magic. An ally strikes each enemy at its location. I'm personally not a fan of this card. I actually never play with this, but one of my good friends loves this card. And so it serves in a very specific deck, and this is a very aggressive deck. And then this card is very painful. If your ogre goons can infiltrate somewhere and then spin attack, like it also is extra damage to your opponent avatars if necessary. So I lost because of this card. But yeah, the thing is always with me, like if I don't have the minions or it's late game and then you draw a spin attack, that is not something I want to draw. So for me, it's really a D. I don't even consider it as a filler. But in the right deck, an aggressive deck, it can actually be a C plus to a B minus even. but then you really have to know what you're doing.
Yeah, it feels a little bit in between to me. Like I gave it a C minus. But yeah, it's really bad when you're behind. It's really great in very specific situations. So yeah, maybe it is closer to like a D. Petrosian Cavalry is next. This is 4 mana for a 3 power ordinary mortal. It has charge. This is premium, I would say. I give it a B. Um, like I kind of see this as like a piece of interaction. Often I build decks that I have a hard time like taking magics over minions sometimes, and I end up with a deck that has like 3 magics in it or something, and I'm like, oh shoot, I don't have enough removal. And then I start looking at my deck and I see a Petrosian Cavalry and I see a Violent, and I'm like, oh okay, I actually do have a bunch of interaction, even if it's just on minions. So I rank this very high. I give it a B. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. And I was surprised by it because in the beginning I was like, this is below the stat line. It's 443. This should be 444. But actually, if you think about it, if you would compare it with a goons you cast on your turn 3, and then it will have its effect on turn 4 by attacking. So basically, Petrosian Cavalry does more or less the same because now you cast it on turn 4 and it can immediately attack. So it's the same as goons, but you just cast it 1 turn later. It's not that you will cast something relevant for that 1 mana, so the mana cost is a little bit similar. But just the fact that you can surprise your opponents makes it a completely different ballpark. And actually, the card does 3 things. The first one is you can kill a 2-part minion with it. So they have a nomad somewhere, they attack you on your side, it kills. Free, and you are already up. The other one is you are a little bit behind, they have an annoying 3-part minion, it is just a kill spell. 4, kill a 3-part minion. The third one is if you're ahead or you just want to deal damage, this one always gets damage. You will always find a site where it can just attack and deal 3 damage to your opponent. So it's just so versatile and so good. Yeah, love the cavalry. Next one is the Sandworm, 4 mana, 1 fire threshold for 4 power, a ordinary beast with burrowing and landbound. This, to me, if you look at the beefy hitters, this is number 2 after the Amazon Wars. This is I want as many Sandworms as I can because 4 mana, 4-part minions are so good. There are so many 3-part minions, and Sandworm eats them all. And the upside of burrowing here is you cannot bury this card. You cannot kill it because it will go under and come up again. That can be really annoying. And if you can play this with a tower in tempo on turn 3, wow, you are in a pickle. The landbound effect, it is very simple. 3 of the elements are lands. So it rarely happens that you are annoyed by water. And if your opponent plays with water, then there is a good chance that later in the game you will reach actually a land site from your opponent unless they really block it off. Sandworm, tricky, but yeah, I would go to say it's a B to B minus.
Okay. Yeah, I give it a B minus. Very solid. Next is Azurich Caravan. It is 5 mana for a 4 power ordinary everything, I guess. It has all elements and all minion types, which is not very relevant, but there's a few cards like the next card we're gonna read, where it can be cast by dragons. So there's little combos with it, I guess. But 5 mana, 4 power, 4 mana, 4 power is good. 5 mana, 5 power is good. And it turns out like 5 mana, 4 power is a little bit worse than those, but it's still a solid card. So I give it a C plus. But I would even take this over like an Ogre Goons, honestly.
Yeah.
So
it depends a bit on your curve of the deck where you are. So I agree. The 5 mana 4 is below the stat line, but it is still a 4th-part minions, and 4th-part minions are just really good in the beta format. And I would always say, hey, I'm going to cast my dragon because it is a dragon. It's everything. C plus for sure. Yeah, I don't mind playing with this, but I hope I have better cards like Sandworm or others. The next one is Incinerate, and that is actually the only really dragon that I would consider playing Incinerate.
Yeah.
Incinerate is 5 mana, 1 fire threshold, ordinary magic. Deal 4 damage to each other unit at target location near the caster or an allied dragon. It's that allied dragon that we were referring to. Otherwise, it is basically around the caster nearby. I was not a fan of this card. 5 mana was just too costly, too high. But then I actually learned that 4 damage is a lot. It really can remove nasty creatures like sandworms. But also sometimes there are two minions, 2 units. And if you had a look at one of my latest drafts, I actually lost because of this card because I had 2 minions there. And 4 damage is mostly enough to kill anything that's on there. So yes, I've come up on this card. Now I really want to play at least 1, perhaps even 2, although that's perhaps a bit much. So I'm at C plus to B minus on this card.
Okay. Yeah, I give it a B because it really can get rid of threats that are really important. But yeah, I could see B minus. I would take this lower than like a firebolt or a minor explosion or in heat ray, that kind of stuff.
I think it has gone up with the switch to Spellslinger. Because with Beta and Sorcerer, you would actually want to double draw and also double cast, so a 5 mana. That's why I say it's really expensive. But with Spellslinger, it's slower. Yeah, the card is actually very good.
Okay, so we're moving on to water. The first card is Blizzard. It is 1 mana for an ordinary aura. I think is it the same exact text as Sandstorm? I don't know. I've never played either card, so I don't actually know. But affected sites and units atop them can't be attacked or intercepted at the start of your turn. Dispel Blizzard. So, yeah, this is an F. We already talked about it. So,
yeah, this is our water card, so expect a lot of Fs and Ds.
yeah.
So this one, Fenvale Muse, 1 mana, 1 water threshold for a 0-part minion. Ordinary Mortal, a spellcaster. Whenever Fenvale Muse casts a spell, you may trigger the genesis of a nearby river. This is a complete F. This is not even a 1-part minion. I don't understand why they made a 0-part minion. I mean, Scrying is a very good ability, but it's not worth a full card. So no.
What is she doing in the art? Is she pouring water into the river?
No, I think it's more an urn that she's just dust to dust, giving something away to get something else, I presume. I don't know.
Okay, next is Porcupine Pufferfish. This is 1 mana for a 1 power ordinary beast. It has lethal and submerged, so this is the Pit Viper for water. And it's, I think, a little bit worse than that because there's a lot more land sites than there are water sites. It still dies to desert, all those things. But it also combos with the same cards as Pit Vipers and all the other lethal stuff. So Grapple Shot and Whirling Blades and stuff like that. So there's enough going for it that I still give it a C and I still play it most of the time.
I think it's horrible. It's not a little bit worse than Pit Vipers. It is a lot worse. At least with Pit Vipers, you're quite sure that you can go on the side of your opponent and start navigating there. With Pufferfish, no way. Perhaps with RTO Legends, better. But like, what are the chances that you're connected and then the body of water is so limited? No, I think Pufferfish is very bad. Only play this if you have 2 grapple shots. I don't see it. I have the Sedge Crabs. 1 mana for a 3-part minion, 1 water threshold, ordinary beasts can only move themselves sideways. So I am in complete love with this card. I'm probably one of the few players that really thinks this is an amazing card. And the reason is very simple. Like, everybody loves Boss Troll, 2 mana for a 3-part minion. And this is a 1 mana. Like, the upside, 1 mana for 3-part minion. Are you kidding me? So the only thing is, like, you have to play this card right. If you start with, I tap a mana, my first into the realm, and then I cast Set Scrap on it. No, that is not how you want to play this. You really want to combine this with Blink, then it's really absurd, because then you really go away from the stepping sideways. But often, if I have like 3 such crabs in my deck, or 4, I've done it in the past, I always succeed in placing my sites next to my opponent's sites. And then they are just there to deal damage easily. And in worst case scenarios, my opponent's deck is full of 3-part minions. And Sashgrab just they have to deal with it. They cannot bypass it. It will just kill a minion. So I think Sashgrab is actually good. I have it, I would say B minus is too much. I have it as a solid C plus.
Okay, yeah, I actually give it a C plus as well. And yeah, I have heard of how people give you shit for playing this card, but it is a real threat. And I've played it too, and I've given it a lance and had it on my opponent's side because I played a site next to their site or whatever. I don't know if I've ever actually comboed it with like blink or grapple shot or anything, but I think it's a pretty solid card, especially for water. Like water tends to be, I think, a bit more of a defensive deck. So even playing it on your sites is just fine, I think. Next is Swamp Buffalo, which is 1 mana, 2 power, ordinary beast. And we gave this a C minus, but as I said, this might actually just be a C. It kind of depends on how you want to think about the grading system. Like maybe the C minuses are just the playable cards in beta. I don't know. Somewhere in there.
Yeah, it's the same as the other one, a C minus to C, and depending on your deck. Again, in very aggressive decks, they become way better. Otherwise, it's just very vanilla. Next one, Fire Harpoons, exclamation mark. 2 mana for a 1 water threshold card, ordinary magic. Deal 1 damage to target minion above or below an adjacent water site and pull it to that caster's location. Draw a card. Even until today, I always have to reread this card because it is not as good as I always think. Because you have to be, it goes from the caster. So the caster says it has to be an adjacent water site. So it's not anywhere. So you have to go there, and then it only deal the 1 damage to target minion above or below an adjacent water site, and that 1 damage doesn't do much. And then it says draw a card. So actually the best thing about this whole card is the last thing, draw cards. But it doesn't create movement. It's just 2 mana for a cantrip. Yeah, so no. I'm at D on Fire Harpoons.
Yeah, I agree. Like, so the unit that is targets needs to be on a water site is the problem with this card, right? Like, that's just not gonna really happen. Okay, Buck Lampreys is next. This is 2 mana, 2 power. It has burrowing and submerge. It's an ordinary beast. I give this a C. It has a couple of keywords, 2 mana, 2 power minion. Sure, I'll put it in a deck.
I think it's C minus. Burrowing and submerge, it's not relevant. It's different than the trolls. 3-part is different because it can kill the spiders. No, C minus. Same for Old Salt Anchorman, 2 mana, 2-part minion for 1 water threshold, ordinary mortal. Nearby allies can be moved by enemy spells and abilities. No, the effect is not there. It doesn't do anything. Very vanilla, 2 mana, 2-part minion, so C minus.
Yeah, the thing with this is they can't like bury or drown your minions, or if there's other force movement that doesn't affect your minions, but yeah, that's just not going to come up very often. I give it a C minus. Polar Bears is next. This is 2 mana, 2 power, ordinary beast. It can move as if the top and bottom edges of the realm were connected. So you can play it on your avatar starting location, and it can move forward or it can move backwards and go to your opponent's starting location. I give this a C, although I do think that this is actual upside, but I don't know if it's enough to get up to a C plus for me.
Yeah, it depends on the deck. So I was actually surprised by Polar Bears. I thought it's just another vanilla 2-part minion. But actually, it gives a lot of flexibility. Sometimes, especially on the draw, you don't want to cast your Polar Bears because it can they can trinket it or they can charge into it. So then you want to cast it on your avatar, but then you actually have the potential to just go the other way and actually deal the damage in. If you are in a more aggressive deck, Polar Bears give so much flexibility in, hey, perhaps I can defend And if I don't defend, I can attack in the other side. So I think in the right aggressive deck, it's even... No, I think C is right, but it can even go to C plus if you... Because in aggressive decks, your 2-part means you have a lot of them and they are important, and then this is probably one of the better ones. So yeah, it's okay. Next one is Riptide, 2 mana, 1 water threshold, ordinary magic. Target water side pulls in an above ground unit it is adjacent to, draw a card. Actually, Riptide is quite amazing. You have to build around it, but what it does, it's a very simple cantrip. You draw your cards, that's already amazing, and then the upside is there. Sometimes it kills a minion. They don't expect it because it's a movement card. You can move your own minions if you want to, or you can draw in the other minions, especially with RTO Legends, like if you have like the Troll Bridge, etc. Like you can do ugly stuff with Riptide. So I actually am now on Riptide as a, I think I go even as far as giving it a B-.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have it at C+, but I don't have that much experience playing it in limited, so I believe you. It is kind of like almost like a blink. Not quite, but...
Yeah, indeed.
Okay, Sleep is next. This is 2 mana for a 1 water threshold ordinary magic. Target minion at a location up to 2 steps away falls asleep. It's disabled until it takes damage. So they can wake it up with Desert or Kaliki Dragonets, Rain of Arrows, I guess, like Ice Lance. Like there's a handful of ways to wake it up. I don't really know about this card. Like I know it's bad removal, but how bad is it is kind of my question. So I give it a C-, but I can definitely believe that this is like a D-. Like I'm not really sure.
So back in the day when it was beta only, it was a playable card, but you had a lot of things you had to consider. So first of all, you mentioned the cards, so you should not be putting it on something that can be reached by a desert, of course. And then it was playable, but the reality is you just have better cards overall than to put Sleep in your deck. But if you do not have the damage, then it's a solid removal card. But the moment with R2 Legends, you have Redbreast Robins, you have Burning Hands, you have so many cards that deal damage, so it is really has become non-playable. Beta only, but even then I would go to C- to D+. I never play with it. I just don't dare to play with it. And I always have better cards to put instead, actually. Swan Maidens, next one, 2 mana for 2 parts, 1 water threshold minion, ordinary mortal as well, airborne and submerged. So this card is, I think, one of the best 2-drops there are in general and also in water. It's also a beautiful card. It is also mortal, not to be underestimated with the zombies, etc. But just airborne and submerged. I don't care about the submerged part, but just say 2 mana to... Yeah, it's airborne. It just blocks in all directions. It's very flexible. I think it's very good. It's probably a very solid C+.
Yep, I give it a C+ too. I definitely think this is the best 2-drop in water. Wall of Ice is next. 2 mana, ordinary aura, conjure atop the border of a site you control. Units can't traverse Wall of Ice on the ground. Yeah, this is an F.
Yeah, we talked about this. Will be the same for all the walls. Next one, 3 mana, Coral Reef Kelpie for 3-part minion, 1 water threshold, an ordinary beast with submerge. Yeah, this is whatever you want. This is my Ogre Goons in water, 3 for 3. So yeah, solid C+.
Yep, C+.
It's easily castable. The submerge is not really relevant, but it has it. Yeah, I don't mind having 3 in my deck.
Yep, that pretty much covers it. 3 mana, double water threshold, Deep Sea Mermaids. It is a 1 power ordinary merfolk with submerge and Genesis, draw your bottommost spell. So I guess if you're playing these, you should make sure you know when you mulligan what your bottommost spell is and maybe put the one that is more like situationally good or however you want to think about that. I give this a C-. I don't really like 3 mana, 1 power, draw a card for like Apprentice Wizard, and I think this is even worse than that. I don't know why they had to give this double water threshold, but That's just kind of the nail in the coffin. So C minus, I could even see it being lower.
Yeah, I have it at D minus. I really dislike these cards. The 2 water threshold is absurd, and it's the same thing, right? Yes, you have a 3. So you don't. I never want to play on turn 3 a deep sea mermaids. I want to play a 3-part minion. So the only thing you can say, yeah, it can block and you draw your cards, so you save a bit of life. But why do not you just put a good card in your deck? Then you don't have to draw it.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I don't understand it. Next one, Drown, 3 mana, 1 water threshold, ordinary magic, submerge target minion or artifact if able. So this is your bury, but then full water, and the difference is huge. The save for the pufferfish, you only have 1 element with water sides, the other one are all land sides. So it is so situational and so dangerous to have 2 drowns in your deck that does absolutely nothing. Because honestly, your opponents, they will never attack into your water sites. They know. So again, if you put that body of water, then perhaps you might. So then, I mean, I don't mind playing one of these in my deck if I really have nothing else. But it's really dangerous. So I have it as a C minus to, yeah, C minus is probably right. And then if you play your sites correctly.
Yeah, I have it at C minus as well. And yeah, people should just realize that this is no Barry. Like I gave Barry a B plus. I'm giving this a C minus, trending on like D plus. Honestly, like yeah, Drown is it's nowhere close to Barry. And then we have this weird like copy of Boyle, kind of. It's 3 mana, 2 water threshold for extinguish, ordinary magic. Banish all fire minions and fire auras occupying target site up to 2 steps away. So you can't even build around this like you can with Boil, where you would have water sites that it just kills everything on the water site. This you have to be specifically playing against fire. So there's a chance your opponent just isn't playing fire, and this literally just does nothing except for maybe kill your own minions. So this is just a straight F. You just can't play this.
Well, I would counter that argument. I think it's still an F
Okay.
or D. But the reality is that, as we always say, fire is the most played, strongest element. And especially with RTO Legends, there is a very good chance that you're playing against fire, and then this actually kills a fire minion. But then you have to consider what is a fire minion that you will actually be killing. So probably Sandworm is then probably the best one. And if it's an Ogre Goons, then this is really not worth the risk. If your opponent casts an, I don't know, Escalon Phoenix or a Cyclops, then you're really happy. But all this together just makes it unplayable. Never do it. If you really struggle and have to find an extra spot for something, I think I had to play it once, and then I was actually surprised how I could actually use it most of the time. But yeah, if you don't have to take the risk, why bother? Next one is Iceland's 3 mana, 1 water threshold, ordinary magic. Shoot a piercing projectile, deal 3, then 2, then 1 damage to up to 1 unit at each of the first 3 locations along its path. So this was one of the cards that got nerfed from one of the old rule changes. Before it started next to the avatar, and then it was 3-2-1, which was very strong actually. Now it's different. It starts with 3 on the caster's location, then 2, then 1. So it's like a mini burning hands only in one direction. But I still like it. I still like it. Has become way more difficult to gain advantage of it. But in some cases, you actually can get a 2-for-1 with this. It is also a finisher, so some people really said Iceland is not playable anymore. I really disagree. I think the card is still good, and actually I don't mind having 2 of them because there are more than enough situations where I want to kill a 2-part minion, or that I will actually move and know, because I know I have it in hand, that I move towards something where the 3 damage is also relevant. So I have Iceland as a C+. I like the cards.
Yeah, I have it at C plus as well. Water doesn't have a whole lot of good removals, so this is kind of just the removal that you have. And yeah, it was way better before it got nerfed with the rules changes, but that's just
And also the piercing part is also there. So also as a finisher like Heat Ray, this is one of the best ones.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, Tufted Turtles is next. 3 mana, 1 water threshold for a 2 power ordinary beast. The first time Tufted Turtles take damage each turn, prevent that damage. So it's the first instance of damage, which means if it gets double blocked, that is 1 instance of damage and it prevents all of it. That's correct, right?
Sorry, yeah, it's all the damage.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. So the one thing that can kill this cleanly that I can think of is firebolts. Other than that, this is really hard to kill. So if they only have 1 minion, it can just block forever. If you ever just get to attack a 2 power minion with it, you just eat it like a Shelly coat almost. Yeah, and if you have a blocker for this, like they attack once, you say, okay, it prevents the damage, then the next one you block with your foot soldier or something. Like this is just really hard to get off the board, other than them having like exactly firebolts or some other like a berry or something. So I give it a B minus. It's just a really annoying sticky minion.
Yeah, and the point that you're making with fireballs, they also have to cost. They have to waste their fireballs on this minion. It's like, so in the beginning, I was like, this is below the stat line, 3 for 2. I wasn't sure, but then my opponent started playing this, and I like you really suffer if you have to play against these cards. And thus I started playing with this, and I remember that I built a deck with 5 Tufted Turtles and 4 set scraps. And it was one of the first wins I got with water, because my god, is so a minion to deal with. And even if you would cast it on its own against a goons, whatever, it can really block that minion. But the reality often is that you have other minions next to them. So in case it goes wrong, you can still block in between, so you save it, etc. So it's there, sticks on the board. It can block Amazon wars. It just gives you so much time and so much annoying for your opponent. And I mean, if it blocks, it does deal 2 damage for free. So yeah, I think Tufted Turtles is yeah, at B minus. Yeah, I agree. This is for me a highly rated pick for water. Yeah. Next one, Pirate Ship, 4 mana for 5 power, 1 water threshold ordinary ship with water bonds. This is definitely above the stat line, 4 for 5. This is like an amazing Amazon warrior. This is one cheaper. This is the shit, but not so, because the water bond is it's so painful, and I've tested this card a lot. So let's say if your opponent is in water and you connect, then this card is a powerhouse. It is better than Amazon Warrior. It's still limited into that body of water, but it hits so hard. It will also block anything. So that makes Pirate Ship really good. But the reality is, especially in beta, that your opponent is never playing with water, or if they play water, the chance that you really are connected, it's very slim. So my rule has become waterbound minions like pirate ships, do not play with them. They are just a trap. Don't do it. It has shifted a little bit with Arthurian Legends, because in Arthurian Legends, water has become actually very good. So it really depends. But then you actually should only cast this when your body of water is connected, and then they're really strong. But they will always have a very limited surface to operate in. So I say Pirate Ship is a D to D plus to a C minus in R2 Legends. In beta, if you can force it with, I think it's only like Silence or Flood. So yes, then it's really a build around, and then potentially they go up to being B level. But then again, you really have to know what you're doing, because you're giving up a whole card like Flood, and then you have to have like 3 Pirate Ship to be able to compensate this. So I would say stay away with it. I know they look good, and the because I in the beginning had, yeah, but at the very minimum they're the ultimate blocker, right? You just play them and they cannot attack you. Well, again, not true. If you play with other elements, and you probably are, they will reach that other side. And then I've had my pirate ships just sitting there. Yes, it took a lot of time, but so unfortunately, because I love the card, I love the art, I have to disregard it completely.
So what do you give it if you're playing Wave Shaper?
If I play Wave Shaper, Yeah, then it goes up. Then so the problem with Wave Shaper is like it will take you time to actually build that water site, but with Wave Shaper you have the power in hand. So there it goes to a B, but that is only if your opponent is not playing with a sorcerer, because the sorcerer will outperform the Wave Shaper. So if that is true, if your Wave Shaper is again a spell slinger, yes, then give me pirate ships, and then I will cast that body of water as a strip. The pirate ship will guard it until it's time to really come across. And in one of my last drafts, I lost because of a pirate ship because I connected the body of water. So I mean, if it's active, it's of course it's an Amazon warrior, so it's very scary, and yeah, people avoid it, so you can easily pick some up. So with Wave Shaper, I would go to a B
Okay,
or
sure.
B minus.
Yeah, I gave it a D plus and then a build around C plus, which the build around is basically like what, like if you have some way to flood their site reliably, like ideally Wave Shaper or something. But you're a lot more experienced with Wave Shaper, so I believe you above myself that it could be a B if you have Wave Shaper.
And also a side comment for people who then pick floodplain. So floodplain says make a water site nearby or no adjacent, but it's only until your end of turn. So yes, you can attack them for 5, but then the water goes away, and basically your pirate ship is disabled, and they can potentially kill it then for free. So
And then I guess just to clarify, when you said like with Arthurian Legends, that means like because the draft format that a lot of people have been doing lately has been 1 pack of beta, 2 packs of Arthurian Legends. So if you're in that format, maybe it does get a little bit more playable because yeah, water is like in the top 2 elements in that set. So it'll just randomly get connected on its own sometimes. Okay, Sea Serpent is next. This is 4 mana, 4 power, ordinary beast, and it has submerge and waterbound. So basically just a pirate ship with 1 less power. So I have the exact same grades, D plus, build around C plus. Any change to you?
for me, the 4 power or 5 power is really a big difference actually. But yeah, like Sandworm is very good, so Sea Serpent is also very good, but pirate ship is of course better. And then perhaps as a side comment on what you just said, like if you really go into water and waterbound minions, you really have to be 2 elements, not 3 elements, because you really have to have a guaranteed body of water. And I would even then go to the 7-5, 7 water sites, 5 land sites, because I just know I just actually just want to have my 2 land sites to cover my threshold. I want them as far away as possible, and all the rest should be body of water. So, all right, that was water. We come to air. First one, Blood Ravens, 1 mana, 1 part minion, 1 air threshold. It's a cruel conspiracy of ordinary beasts, airborne, damage dealt by Blood Raven strikes, heal you. A lot of words to say this card is really bad. I think it is really bad. Some people really disagree with that. It has gotten a buff because before you cannot hit sites. So basically it has strikes heal, but it would say gain 1 life because honestly, if it strikes another minion, it will die because it only has 1 power minion. I think the only exception is the muse or perhaps the grandmaster wizard or whatever.
Yeah.
So it will just gain 1 life. Now you could say I can attack sites, and thus it is like a 2-part minion. Only you gain a life, they lose a life. So there's 2 differences there. But even then, it's not worth it. I don't think I would ever put it in my deck. This is for me a complete F.
Okay. Yeah, I have it at D plus, but yeah, I really prefer not to play this card. Yeah, I would say maybe like D is more accurate, but anyway. Snow Leopard is next. 1 mana, 2 power, ordinary beast. Same as the other one. It's a C to C minus.
Next one is Blink, 2 mana for 1 air threshold ordinary magic. An ally teleports to a location it's nearby, draw a card. This card, without a doubt, is insanely strong. I talked a lot about movement and the importance of movement in sorcery. And Blink does everything what you want to do. Yes, it can only go one step, but it's nearby. It's not even adjacent, so it's a surprise effect galore. And also, if it's like an Amazon warrior, it blinks and then can tap, so it reaches super far. It is draw a card, so it's free. It's a cantrip, and with the teleportation, like this is the ultimate surprise. Do anything what I want, and I will always kill something or deal so much damage with this. With Punch Butcher, with Sedge Crabs, whatever, all these things that are stuck. If I have to go there, I go to A minus for Blink, I think.
Wow. Okay.
It is that crazy and strong, or probably more reasonable is B plus.
Okay. Yeah, I give it a B. I mean, yeah, it synergizes with like everything basically. So, yeah, incredible card. It basically always gets a 2-for-1, or just like pushes a bunch of damage, or does something you really need it to do. Like it just solves so many problems. Okay, next is Cloud Spirit. This is 2 mana, 2 air threshold for a 2 power ordinary spirit. It has airborne and movement +2. So airborne movement +2 means that it can move from basically one corner of the realm all the way to the other corner of the realm. So that is pretty amazing. You can just put this back in the corner somewhere and be able to block anything or attack any of their sites. The only problem with this is it's double air threshold. So it's pretty hard to play on turn 2. Sometimes I will play like a Spectral Stalker over this because I just really want 2 drops that I can play on turn 2. Like if I'm playing an aggressive deck, I would rather have Spectral Stalker. If I'm playing more of a control-y, long-range deck, then I'm wanting a Cloud Spirit because it just covers all your bases and it can still get aggressive. So I give this a C+.
Yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with Cloud Spirits. I want to have many Cloud Spirits on the boards. I think it's probably it's better late game than early game because of the movements, and you can always cast it safely, and it just basically interacts with any minion on the board. So it can be that extra blocker to add 2 damage to a block, or it just can jump if necessary. So it's the ultimate safeguards. But as you say, the problem is the 2 air threshold. And now it is better than in beta, because in beta you had to play with towers. And if you want to cast a Cloud Spirit turn 2, that means that actually you have to put 2 towers into play. So you just waste a lot of your tower energy. Now it's different. But the chances, air is often the third element, the supporting element, and then this is just unplayable. You cannot put this in your deck, unfortunately. But if air is really my main element, then sure, I love to have 2 Cloud Spirits in my deck, but I will probably struggle still because you don't want to start with air.
Mm-hmm.
Next one, Dead of Night Demon, 2 mana. And I have Cloud Spirit as unfortunately as a C. Because of the issues I have with casting it. And then as a 2-part minion, it comes too late. I don't want to put my 2 mana minion on turn 5. So, yeah. Dead of Night Demon, 2 mana for a 2-part minion with 1 air threshold, ordinary demon with stealth. I have this as a C-. I don't really like it. I will always play other 2-part minions. Stealth is good. And very good, but there's such a big difference between a Band of Thieves, which is a 3-part minion that can actually deal way more damage. This is only the 2 damage, and often, it will then trade with another 2-part minion safely. That's true. The Scorpions with lethal, the +1 movement, they are all way better than the stealth for me. So C-. I prefer not to play this card.
Yeah, I have it at C, but I can believe C-. Like, I really don't put this in my deck very often. Next is Disenchant. This is just Dispel in air, so it's 2 mana, ordinary magic, destroy all auras and artifacts at a location 2 steps away. So yeah, your opponent might just not be playing artifacts and stuff, just like what we said with Dispel, so it's enough.
Yep. 2 mana for Fate, 1 air threshold ordinary magic. Give an allied minion stealth. If it occupies an enemy site, draw a card. Fate is tricky. I think actually it was well designed. And I think if you want to play it, you have to play it when your allied minion is on the opponent's side. So it is a cantrip. And then it's actually very good. I mean, you can charge in, like if it's a complex situation and you start with the minion and you know they have to choose and it's right or wrong and they don't know that you have the fate in hand, then fate is amazingly good because then they are like, can I risk it? I could get blown out. No, I'll take the damage for the sandworm and then I can probably kill it afterwards and then fate, stealth, and yeah, then it's amazingly strong because you draw that card and your minion is suddenly a stealth minion. So towards the end of the game, fate is stronger, I think. In worst case, often it is a cantrip. But the downside is like if you do not have that minion, if you are behind and then you draw it, you are screwed. So sometimes fate is not that good. So unfortunately, I like the card, but I don't put it a lot in my deck. If they play it against me and they draw a card and I struggle it, I always curse. So I have it as a, yeah, you cannot say it's a build around. So yeah, I think I'm going for a C to C plus, but more C. I actually rarely play it.
Yeah, I have it at C minus. I tend not to play this card either. Yeah, I see my opponents play it a lot, and often it makes their turns pretty awkward where they're like, okay, I cast Fade, and then they realize, oh wait, no, I need to move my minion onto your site first, and then it's like, okay, do I attack? Do I just move and then cast this? I don't know. It's just kind of awkward. It doesn't. It's not one of the better cantrips, I would say. I definitely take all the other cantrips over this one. I'll just leave it there. So the next one is Lightning Bolt. This is 2 mana, 1 air threshold for an ordinary magic. Deal 3 damage to a random unit at target location. So this one isn't just 2 steps away, it's just anywhere on the board. And often, because of cards like Minor Explosion, people don't put all their units on the same site. So often it's just 1 unit there, and you can just 2 mana, deal 3 damage to whatever's there. And even if it has stealth, it still hits it. So super powerful removal spells. It can get the death blow, although once you get to the point where you're playing against air and you're on Death's Door, often people will play around Lightning Bolt by just putting 1 or 2 minions on top of their avatar, and it'll be like a 1 in 2, 1 in 3 chance that you actually get the death blow with it. So it can be awkward at times, but in the mid game and the beginning of the game, it's just 2 mana kill anything basically. So I give it a B with the caveat that like there are downsides for it, obviously, but it's just so efficient. I can't give it lower than a B, I think.
I agree with everything that you say, but the downside is really very annoying. I lost multiple games being on Death's Door and my opponent on Death's Door and just missing, and I had to play it because that was my out. So now I think Lightning Bolt, like, so I prefer Firebolts, and yeah, Heat Ray is a different one, but especially with R2 Legends, with the Magic Missiles, etc., I prefer those ones just that I'm sure and can control it correctly. But of course, Lightning Bolt, the upside, being able to deal with stealth, etc. I mean, so if I have it, I can choose between fireballs, if I know I have fireballs in deck, I will always cast Lightning Bolt the moment I can really get the advantage out of it. If they have a boss troll, if they have a Plume Pegasus, some annoying minion of 3-part minion, I will always use my Lightning Bolt because I'm sure and guaranteed, and then I can draw my firebolts and then use that as a finisher. But sometimes it's possible that there is a Sandworm with a Longbowman on top of it. What will you do? Will you cast a Lightning Bolt on it? Nope, you cannot take the chance that it hits the... So, yeah, well designed. So I have it as C plus is not possible, but then I will go to a B minus. Yeah. Men of Lang, 2 mana for 2-part minion, 1 air threshold ordinary beast. Whenever Men of Lang strike an avatar, that avatar discards a random card. This is a 2-part minion with upsides, but the upside rarely happens. I think if I would play 20 games with a Man of Lang, probably I will perhaps once discard a card for my opponent. Like they are not stupid, they see it. So the more grapple shots you have, the better, but then is that worth a grapple shots? Like, don't you want to kill an amazing minion with it, which is also a card that they discard? So yeah, Mana Flang for me is C minus. I'll play with it if I just want to have 2-part minions, but most other 2-part minions are just better than the Mana Flang.
Yeah, I agree. I give it a C minus as well. Like, I don't know that I've ever seen this card actually trigger and make someone discard a card, so it says a lot.
But if you do it, best feeling ever.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah, like Mana Flang plus like Blink is probably the best thing you can do, or I guess like a Fade or something. But yeah, they're just gonna kill it before it gets there. Mortality. This is a card that I've had different feelings about over time. So this is 2 mana, 1 air threshold for Mortality. It's an ordinary magic. Kill all mortal minions at target location up to 2 steps away. I used to have this as F, like I will never play this card. But I've kind of been coming up on it. I still don't really play it very often. I still think it's like a C minus at best. I think it's better in 1 beta 2 Arthurian Legends as a format just because there's so many more mortals. It does have the possibility of getting a 2-for-1, but that's kind of a long shot. So I'm not really sure about this card, but I give it a C minus. I tend not to play it. If I have other removal, then I will just play that over this card. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I had to learn about mortality. So I was agree with you. For me, it was the same stack of undead minions, very situational, etc. Until you would always start losing games against Amazon Warriors. So mortality is the Amazon Warriors killer in just beta. And then it became standard to have it at least 1 mortality, even going to 2 mortalities. But that was probably too much. 1 mortality had become standard for me, and I could always use it. And then with Arthurian Legends, it even became better with all the crazy sirs and the land skies, etc. So I think mortality is playable. It's mortals. If you look at how many mortals there are, and at the very minimum, you can also kill a 2-part minion with it, like just a servant or whatever. I mean, you will always find a target for mortality, which is different than the other one. So I have mortality as a C+. I think it's playable. If I have really solid other removal, I will play those. But I really, really do not mind a mortality. And if I have it in hand, I actually feel safe. And when they then cast, what is it? Sir Lancelot or whatever, then you're so happy. And it also has happened that I could remove 2 of them, but that's not really what you're going for. But like all the Sirs are, or all, there are so many mortals that are better, that are really above the stat line, and you really struggle against it, and then mortality just saves you. It's like, phew, luckily I had that card. So yeah, for me, C+. Next one, the Polybury Bats, if that is pronounced correctly. 2 mana for 2-part, 1 air threshold, ordinary beast, airborne and burrowing. Yeah, same with the swans. I think this one is better because burrowing actually has the effect to go and fetch some artifacts that were buried. We all know it with angelic eggs or devil eggs, but that's more in constructed. But even if you have them, open them, they can still do it. And of course, they can be summoned by, what is the card that I'm looking for? With
the Falconer.
Right. Yeah, Falconer. That is not happening in limited, but just a solid 2-part. Like every 2-part minion with airborne is just very solid. So I have it as a C+, I think.
Yeah, okay. I have it at C+ as well. Rain of Arrows is 2 mana, 1 air threshold for an ordinary magic. Deal 1 damage to each above ground minion. I've never played this card. I don't know if I've ever even played against it. I guess maybe in like alpha it was maybe playable because of all the villages, but yeah, no one plays 1-power minions, so you're gonna have to combine this with an attack or something, and then you might be killing your own minion. I have this at D. I just don't play it.
Yeah, I feel bad for Rain of Airs because actually I like the cards. I mean, having 1 damage to multiple things is not a bad thing. And this is actually the counter to Border Militia, which was a real thing. Like everybody would play with Border Militia in beta, and even with Arthurian Legends, but there it's less common, right? Everybody would also play back in the day with the villages. But even then, if you think about your 7 spots of spells, this just never makes the cut. So Alta, and if you play with fire and have deserts, it's 2 damage. So yeah, but no, it's just a D, unfortunately. Next one is Spectral Stalker, 2 mana for 2 part minion, 1 air threshold with ordinary undead Voidwalk. And this is one of those traps. It looks good. I think a lot of people like it. I think it's a bad card. And I will explain why. Most people like to play this on turn 2 next to the avatar. But so many times I am just able to cast a sight underneath it and just cast a minion on top of it. So many times I can cast a 3-part minion on it, nullifying it, and it cannot escape. If that is the case, so with, for instance, Setscrap is a bit, but any 3-part minion and it is stuck, because even if it moves back in the void, you cast another sight in there and you just kill it for free. There is so dangerous that it's a free kill for your opponent. And if we then talking about fast damage, yeah, it is only a 2-part minion. It's on the other side of the board. So yeah, I think it's really dangerous, and you can more likely that you lose it without having an impact than you gain. Like, hey, I did 6 damage with it. It's not happening. And the same thing with the Voidwalk. Will it ever kill something? 1 power? No. So in the best case, it will just trade with another 2-part minion. So no, I don't like Stalker. I think it's a D.
Wow. Okay, that's
Or
interesting.
if it's C minus,
Yeah.
actually, if you really have to want to have filler for your 2 slots.
Okay, that's really interesting. All right, yeah, I have it at C plus, and yeah, I will.
Totally.
I will usually do it. I'll just play it right next to their avatar. So maybe that is a mistake, because yeah, that scenario that you laid out makes a lot of sense. Like, you just play a 3-power thing on top of it, and I was even thinking, oh well, you just move it into the void, and then no, you just play a side on top of it, and that's just like, yeah, just kind of threw it away if you do that.
It's very funny because I'm really giving all my secrets away here. So
Yeah.
every time somebody casts this next to my avatar, I always tell them like, oh, that is really annoying. And I'm always thinking like, yay, always.
Wow. Okay. Tricky. Okay. Teleport is next. It is 2 mana, 2 air threshold for an ordinary magic. Teleport an ally to the surface of target site. It's just movement. It doesn't draw a card. It's much worse than Blink. It's double air threshold for some reason. The one way that I think you can play this card is if you're playing Spark Mage. Then it's just 2 mana, teleport right on top of your avatar, and then you can immediately like tap and deal 2 damage. But outside of that, I don't see ever playing this card, so I could D.
Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate for teleport that Blink exists. So if you compare teleport to Blink, then teleport becomes unplayable, and they are both ordinary. So you just want to have Blink. Set this, and that's why I would never play with teleport. But if Blink would not exist, like, you can actually teleport your 4-part minion onto a 3-part minion and kill it. You can escape. So teleport is not a bad card, but yeah, in comparison to all the other alternatives of force movement, etc., this one falls off. And the double air threshold, as you say, it's annoying. It's like never. So it's really, really annoying, unfortunately. And your comment about Spark Mage, like, if you go Spark Mage, you really want to have 2 of those in your deck, because then the double threshold is actually quite good. You zap a minion for free, basically. And you're there next to it. So there teleports good. So yeah, unfortunately, it's just D plus, I guess, but I never play with teleports. Perhaps if you have like a Push Butcher in the deck, then I would consider it. But maximum the 1. Next one, Wall of Air, 2 mana, 1 air threshold, ordinary aura, conjure it up the border of a site you control. Minions with airborne or 2 or less power can traverse Wall of Air. Same as the other one, super bad, F, never played.
Yep. Apprentice Wizard is next. It's 3 mana, 1 air threshold for a 1 power ordinary mortal. It has Spellcaster and Genesis Draw Spell. It's better than Deep Sea Mermaid, but not by that much. I give it a C minus. I just tend not to play this card.
Yeah, same remark. Just put a good spell in your deck. So for me, it's a D.
Yep.
Next one, Grapple Shot, 3 mana, 1 air threshold, ordinary magic of Acrobatic Assault. An ally shoots a projectile. If it hits a unit, the ally is dragged to that location and may strike the hit until unit when it arrives. You called it solid as general. This is solid. When I did not know anything about sorcery, this is actually a true story. The very first thing I heard was Grapple Shot is the best card. And I was like, what is this card? And then I didn't really understand it because I was not understanding like how the whole situation worked with the grid, etc. But yeah, Grapple Shot is crazy strong. 3 mana, so it's a bit more expensive than 2. But yeah, shooting a projectile, it is movement. It moves also your unit to somewhere. It hits hard if it's with 5 powered minion. It goes if your opponent is on 10 life, it goes from 10 to 0 with an Amazon warrior. It kills anything. It also moves across somewhere and then it can attack. So yeah, this is often a 2-for-1. So, or the 2-for-1 is you kill 2 minions because of it. Also, it's one direction, right? Your minion doesn't get hit, whatever. With Push Butcher, I think it's forced movement, so their Push can move as well. Grapple Shot is amazing. Yeah, so how to rate this one? I would say B plus.
Yeah, I give it a B plus as well. Like, yeah, I remember when I first was playing Sorcery, I mean, there wasn't a scene by me and I wasn't playing on TTS. So really it was like me watching like the season 1 league of like Ira's League and season 2 and season 3 that were all like alpha only basically. And I remember Grapple Shot as well, as like people were talking about it as like this is like one of the best cards in Sorcery right now. And it was like Avatar of Earth plus Grapple Shot, like deal 12 damage to you or something crazy. And yeah, it's just as busted and limited, if not even more so. So yeah, it's a B plus. Kind of like Blink, it synergizes with everything. Yeah, can't say enough about that card. Midnight Rogue, 3 mana, 1 air threshold for a 2 power ordinary mortal. It has ranged and stealth. I give this a C minus, and I tend not to play with it. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you talked about how range was overrated, and that definitely is the case for this. I remember like in the original rules, couldn't you like range strike sights or something, and they wouldn't lose stealth? Or there's some weird nonsense with it early on. Maybe not. Okay, maybe I'm just wrong about that. Anyway, yeah, I tend not to play this. Do you play it?
I have it as a D. I think it's actually a bad card. It's also one of these traps. It looks like an amazing card. It's ranged, it's stealth. This is what I want. But the reality is that the impact is not there. Like I think even in RTO Legends, the Huntress, which is a 2 mana, 2-powered ranged without stealth, and of course, is not even an amazing card. So this one, yeah, the effect is not there. So it becomes good when I guess you can combine it with something else and it is stealthed. So again, the range just is area control, but you can work around it if you're a good player. And the stealth, it's only once. So never ever will it actually just kill another 2-part minion, unless again you have movement spells. But then, yeah, it's the movement spell that does the trick, and whether it's stealthed or not doesn't matter. So yeah, I think it's a bad card. I never play with this unless I really have to. Next one, 3 mana, 3-part plumed Pegasus with 1 airborne, 1 air threshold, ordinary beast with airborne. This card is amazing, and this is a flying ogre goons. If I love goons, then this is so much better. You want to have 3 in this deck. Like airborne is not to be underestimated. Going from adjacent to everywhere in attack and blocking, and it also deals with scarabs, etc. I mean, there you don't really want to deal with it, but sometimes you have to. You have at least the option. Um, if your opponent has like what is the card, the elite that shuts down the gorgons, shuts down in adjacent, it's a 3-part minion. Plume Pegasus can attack it sideways, it can deal with this. So Plume Pegasus is yeah, I would even go to B minus, which is perhaps a bit strange, but it's really better than just the C plus.
Yeah, it's so funny. They did this cycle where it's like, okay, in Earth we have cave trolls, like 3 mana 3 power burrowing, and then we have 3 mana 3 power submerge in water, and then it's like, oh, okay, well for air we'll do 3 mana 3 power airborne, and it's like, okay, these cards are all the same, right? Like, no, not at all. Like the airborne is so absurd compared to those other abilities. And I'm sure they knew that when they printed this card. So yeah, I also give it a B minus. Yeah, incredible 3-drop.
And the thing of airborne, and that's really specific to airborne, it also provides safety. Sometimes there is a situation because the minions on the ground, they are adjacent. And it's like, oh, I need to have another blocker. But then, yeah, and the fact that you can just place it on the other side of the threat makes it way more safe as a blocker. So I think Pegasus is really good.
5 mana, 1 air threshold for roaming monster. It's a 4 power ordinary monster. And it may be summoned to any site. So you can put it on top of one of their 3 power minions, is usually what I do with this. So pretty nice. Like that ability doesn't look that fancy, but it actually is really relevant that you can play this on your opponent's sites. Yeah, I liked the 5 mana 4 power caravan, and I like this a lot more because of that ability. So I give this a B minus actually.
Yeah, I agree. Roaming Monster is a good card. I mean, if we like the Caravan already, then this is way better. The ability to summon it anywhere on the board, it also becomes a direct threat to your opponent if it's on death's door or need death's door. Roaming Monster is very good. But, there is a but. You really have to be conscious, same as with the Stalker, if you go on enemy's territory and the next turn they just cast an Amazon War on top of it, you just lose it without being able to do anything about it. So if you don't have to, I rather play it a bit more closely to my sides, because sometimes I just have lost it, and then it's really bad. But often Roaming Monster is just really a very good card. B minus sounds about right. But I think I played it under the Plume Pegasus, so I would go for... No, B minus is still right. Oh. Then we come to Highland Clansman, 7 mana, 1 air threshold for a 5-part minion, ordinary mortals with charge. I didn't believe it in the beginning, but this card is actually so strong. So the only downside, and I put this between brackets because it is not to be underestimated, is the 7 mana. 7 mana is a lot. So if you play Clansman 1 or 2, you really have to make sure that you get there. So that means that your deck and your curve needs to be able to support it. Otherwise, you die. And I have died with 2 Clansmen in my hand, so I know what I'm talking about. But if you get there in a safe manner, then actually the 5 mana charge, again, it's like the cavalry tree. This one hits so hard and it can kill roaming monsters. So this is what happens. If you cast a roaming monster and then they cast the clansman and kill it. But of course, the same is true if you would cast it on your side. But clansman, I think it's strong. Back in the day when we had towers, I was always able to save a tower to reach it, and then I would go from 5 mana until I had it, and then you just cast the tower and you charge in for 5, which is very strong. And there, the thing is of charge is the same. Like it's actually a 6 mana minion for 5 that without charge, but of course going from 5 to 6 to 7 mana is a real deal. So you have to understand how you can get there safely. But then I would say Clansman is actually a solid B. to B minus probably. Honestly, when I did the alpha draft at Sorcery Fest, my very first 2 picks were 2 clansmen.
That's yeah, okay. So I gave it a B minus. It is kind of hard to grade these really expensive cards, but the fact that this has charge, like the 7 mana Fomorians and stuff were really bad in Arthurian Legends because they would come down and they would just sit there. But this, like, if you're ahead, they can get in there and get aggressive and deal 5 immediately. If you're behind, they can help you stabilize the board. So yeah, these are legit, and beta is a slower format compared to Arthurian Legends, so that helps a lot. So I gave it a B minus, but it's like a build around B. I think if you have a couple ways to get there a little bit earlier, so I think this is a reason to play Land Surveyors. And then if you have Towers and if you have Geomancer, I like Geomancer a lot for decks that want to play 7 mana things. So those are some ways to bump this up even higher.
Yeah, and I think if you just think about deck construction, like you want to have upside in your deck. You really want to have like 2 to 3 like beefy minions. What are beefy minions? These are like the best one I think is Infernal Legion. It could be a Hydra, etc. Like all these crazy strong cards. But the Highland Clansman is in that range. It does what it does. It comes to on the board and it hits directly for 5. Or it kills a 4th power minion and below. And it always survives, so your opponent suddenly has a 5-power threat on the board that already did its effect, so it's often a 2-for-1, and often it just charges in for 5. Yeah, very strong card.
All right, we are moving on to 2 artifacts. So we have Wicker Mannequin, 1 mana, 1 power, ordinary automaton. It is a non-fire spellcaster. It's 1 mana, 1 power minion, so obviously I'm giving that an F.
Without a doubt, these things are so incredibly bad. I like the design. I like the card.
Yeah, it's funny.
Why? I have like 30 of them, and it's like, why waste the space on these cards? I had no idea what they were thinking when they created this card. Honestly, like, how can this ever be good? I don't see it.
Yeah.
And then a non-fire spell card. So I think it's one of the first cards, like very conceptual, whatever, but it's just completely not playable. Anyway, same for the next one. 2 mana for a Scarecrow, which is a gaunt and wrecked ordinary relic. It has a Genesis ability that says return each airborne minion here to its owner hand. Airborne minions can't enter this location. So conceptually, amazing cards to scare away the airborne minions. But honestly, like, who has airborne minions? Like, here, take this, you plume Pegasus, it's back to the hands. That is one of the best scenarios I can think of, actually. Yes, you gain tempo, but that's it. You just lost a full card, and then airborne minions can't enter this location. Honestly, it's incredibly bad. The only thing I like about it is that Kevmo once in his Halloween special made a story about this, which was really nice. But for the rest, as a card, unfortunately, what is worse than F? G?
G.
H?
Yeah, okay. Okay, and then we have 4 sites to look at. So there's Humble / Rustic / Simple Village. This is an ordinary site, provides an Earth threshold, and it has Genesis. You may pay 1 to summon a Foot Soldier token here. Because there's so much junk in the packs, I rate this a bit lower than I otherwise would. Like if this was an Arthurian Legends, it'd probably be easily a C+, maybe even a B-. But in just 3 packs of beta format, I give this a C, just because I just can't take sites that highly. I don't want to not have spells to cast,
Yeah, that's the issue, the difficulty with rating these sites. But I think actually it's the same for all players. You really have to pick spells and first, but everybody does this. So there is this moment when there are like 6 cards still in the pack that then the sites become relevant. And I think the villages are just good. I mean, it's 3 foot soldiers, so I like them. If I can, I really want to pick them, but how to rate them? It's just a different game or rating system. So Yeah, villages are amazing. C plus, if you can take them, I take as many as I can. Similarly, for the fire, deserts, Genesis deal 1 damage to each minion atop target nearby site. Uh, I would say this is the strongest. It's probably not true because I think the towers are actually the strongest. But dealing damage to everything on a site, this is the reason why one part minions are also bad. Um, because it's so dangerous for a desert, and also deserts let you trade upwards. Your 2 mana minions can trade for a 3 part minion because of the desert. Yeah, but similarly, like a desert, I'm always happy when I have a desert in my hands. So yeah, I would say this is like a B minus card, but I will never pick it in. I hope I don't
Yeah.
have to pick it in my first 5 picks. So then it drops to a C plus. C. It depends on how you organize your rating system.
Yeah, I give it a C plus. So somewhere in there. Next are the rivers. They are water sites, and they have Genesis. Look at your next spell. You may put it on the bottom of your spellbook. I give this a C, and I think this is the least impactful of all the ordinary sites. But a lot of the C level cards in water are very replaceable, so you'll probably just take this over one of them and then wheel whichever 2-drop that you want out of that pack. Yeah, I don't know. How does C sound?
Yeah, I agree. Like if you have to choose between a foot soldier dealing a damage or getting mana, then scrying, yeah, it's less impactful. Although scrying is an amazing ability. So yeah, I mean it's a free ability, yes. So of course it's super good, but yeah, the river is the weakest one, unfortunately. Then the towers, so those I think are the best, and the reason is very simple, because yeah, you just gain an extra mana. So this is all about tempo, and in every strategy game, everything is about tempo. And yeah, I remember that first time that I was on the draw, and my opponent turn 3 cast a sandworm and then turn form another sandworm, and the game was over. And it that is what it does. It lets you cast something that is more expensive more quickly, and then the next turn they actually are on that level where they then can pay that same level of expense. And so the towers are just deadly. Honestly, in the beginning, I would just splash towers in my 2 element deck. I would just place one of each in them just to gain the speed, and it really, really was the right call. Towers are incredibly strong. They are, yeah, a B plus to me. I would not take them in the beginning. It always hurts me to pause them because I know how impactful it is. But so I think the towers are probably where on the fifth, sixth pick I really start to, yeah, evaluate it. Like, is this better than a 3 part minion like an ogre goons? If I'm in air, I really would consider it. Like having your, I don't know, Sky Baron 1 turn earlier, or with RTO Legends some like yeah, yeah, yeah. Towers are amazing. But what do you think?
Yeah, I give them a C plus, but I think I do also have them like slightly higher than deserts, which is weird because sometimes deserts are way better. They immediately just affect the board, but um, I don't know. Yeah, if you were drafting and you took a dark tower, like does the second dark tower move down at all in your pick rating, or how do you feel about the duplicates?
Huh, not really, yeah, because it's really about tempo, and the tempo is in the beginning on turn 6, 7. The extra tempo, although still relevant, like with the Clansman, etc. Um, but no, I mean, you really want them have them early, so I don't mind 2 trees. Probably there it really drops down, but it's really about getting them into your hand in the beginning. So
All right, so we are moving on to some ordinary avatars. So we have Flamecaller first. This is 1 power avatar. It has tap, player draw a site, and then it has tap, banish all your dead minions. Sorry, all your dead fire minions. shoot a projectile, it deals damage equal to the sum of their fire threshold. So you count up how much fire threshold are on your fire minions, and you can tap to shoot a projectile that's that big. This is really good when paired with air. I guess it's better when it's paired with air. I don't know if I'd go as far as saying that it's really good, because I'm gonna give this a D plus and recommend that people probably just never play this avatar.
Yeah, Flamecaller is a difficult one. So it has the potential to be really good. I think if your opponent has a low curve deck with a lot of two-part minions, etc., then Flamecaller is quite good. The one thing I would advise to newer players, like if you play with Flamecaller, so of course every avatar first you want to reach your 4 or 5 mana. That is more important than anything because you just want to be able to cast your spells. But the moment then that you can get advantage with Flamecaller, just do it. Like if I have two fire threshold and I have the opportunity to play a desert and kill a 3-part minion with it, I will always do it. Sometimes I see new players just really want to build that 10 damage fireball and here in your face. But that thing never happens because your opponent sees it, he can count. So the moment it starts to become terribly awkward for him, he will run away already. And then the impact is less relevant. And the moment that you can really kill a 6-part minion with it, that will also never happen because by then your realm is so wide that you have an issue with it. So I think, yeah, Flamecaller is playable. I would always consider it. If I'm heavily in red, I will prefer it over the Spellslinger, I think. But it's not an easy ability to do right. So I have it as I would give it a C.
Okay, and as always, I guess we should mention the Spellslinger just to make sure everyone's aware. Obviously, we're comparing it to Spellslinger, so Spellslinger, you start with an extra card in your hand. Flamecaller, you have to start with 3 cards in hand, so you have to somehow make up for that loss in card advantage.
And I must add that I really think more about beta environment here. If it's really R2 Legends, the game is too fast. Their Flamecaller, I would agree, goes to a D because there it's really difficult to already in turn 3 or 4 when you can get that extra advantage to take a turn to not play a side to have your advantage. It is doable, but there it's really more tougher to make it a good thing. Just stick to that Spellslinger, I would say. Next one, we go back to Earth, which is the Geomancer. It's also 1 power avatar. It has tap, play or draw a side, as all of them. If you played an Earth side, fill a void adjacent to you with rubble. Then it says tap and replace an adjacent rubble with the topmost side of your atlas. If you are a newer player, take your time to read this card carefully. I see a lot of people struggle with this card to understand what it does. And actually the effect is, if you do it right, very strong. So what you want to do, so basically every time you put a Earth side in play, you get a rubble. But the second ability says replace an adjacent rubble with the topmost side of your atlas. So basically, it instead of having to draw the side and then placing it, which is also a tap ability, it will accelerate the amount of mana that you have. And you have to play it correctly, which means that you start with your Earth side. Your first rebel goes one of the 3 sides. Then you replace that one, and then the 2 Earth sides you do never place next to you. You really have to play them in a T, so you always have 3 extra sides. That is how you have to play it. And if you are lucky and have 3 Earth sides in hand, where you have to build towards, then actually that means that you can get freely to 6 mana. You never ever have to draw a side. Of course, when you draft, most of the time you are in 2 elements, so it will not happen that often. But you can then mulligan that you have at least 2 Earth sides, and that makes it already to compensate for that Spellslinger extra card in hand, and you will just build up your mana very quickly. So Geomancer is the better one. So yeah, I would go to a C+. I know you like it, Mitch, so what do you think?
Yeah, I like it a lot. I put it in like the top echelon of Earth ordinaries, I think. Like you said, like tempo is really important in this game, and like it already makes up for the card disadvantage from not playing Spellslinger because you just never have to draw a site for turn like we normally do with Spellslinger. And then you just get amazing tempo out of it. Like you can just play a 6-drop on turn 6 sometimes, or at least a 5-drop on turn 5 is pretty typical. So I actually give this a B, and I take it pretty high.
So you would say if you play with Geomancer, you are in paradise?
Okay.
Sorry. Just a referral to a game he played.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Anyway,
Okay, Spark Mage is next. It's a 1-power avatar. It has tap, draw, or play a site, and then it has tap target nearby location. Deal damage to another random unit there equal to the sum of air on spells you cast this turn. So to note, it's like a lightning bolt, except you can't hit yourself with it. Is what it does. So this is another one that's pretty tricky to play. It's on the same level as Flamecaller. This one I think wants to be even more aggressive than Flamecaller does. Like Flamecaller kind of can sit back and it can shoot the projectile all the way to the, it's just a projectile. Whereas this one, it has to be nearby. So, but the benefit with this is that it's already in air. So that means that you have access to blink and blinking maneuver and teleport and stuff like that. So this one's a little bit easier to build, I think, but I still give it a pretty low grade, and I will just play Spellslinger most of the time over this. Like maybe if I get this like 13th pick or something, I'll just take it, and during my deck building process, I'll count how many air threshold I have and how many free movement effects I have, and maybe I'll play it, but I'm never going to prioritize this in a pack, so I give it a D+, sadly.
Yeah, it's my, as you said, like this is my soul card. This is my avatar that I am on Discord on. I think the card is beautiful. Spark Mage is difficult. I think there is this very narrow way that can make it very, very strong. And then I'm really talking about B plus range. But the unfortunate thing is you have to pick it quickly, I think, or you have to be sure that it will wheel, but so that is not easy. But if you can have 1 or 2 teleports in your deck and have 3 Arc Lightnings in your deck, then you are solid. You will just blow your opponent out so quickly that they have no way to respond. That is the amount of damage. So that means you have to have a deck that operates with 4 mana. And then, honestly, this was one of my easiest 3-0s in drafts with the Spark Mage. But the issue is, like, you have to decide this very quickly. And if you get contested in air, you really have to drop it as quickly as possible. And that is the difficult thing. It's really tough to know when it's happening. And so you have to keep yourself open. So if it happens, you go there hardcore. And, like, you can feel it when it's open. And then actually I love to draft it, but yeah, it doesn't happen that often that you have the opportunity. Otherwise, I would agree. The other ones are safer, and then Spellslinger is just more solid. You already have your extra cards, because with Spark Mates, yeah, first you have to be nearby, then you have to be able to tap it. So it's like the middle game to gain your advantage. You have to have the right. You want to have 2 or 3 threshold. That's not easy. So yeah, it's just then it's more like a D. I would say just do not play it.
But it's a build around A+ for you, is that right?
Yeah, but like that's very narrow. Like if you really get 2 teleports and 3 arc lightnings, I guarantee you will have fun. Opponent will not have fun. Wave Shaper is a tap to player draw a site. As the others, tap is its ability is flood a site near your body of water until you do so again. Tap minions without submerge there. They don't untap the next time they would. So this is a lot for 1 card, so also read it multiple times. In the beginning, new players don't do it correctly. So let's chop it down. So the ability tap minions without submerge there, that is crazy strong. That is so good, because basically you will be tapping their best minion. Most minions do not have submerge. You are in water, so the chance that perhaps you incidentally have a submerged minion happens, and then yours will not tap. So that's a minor upset, but just tapping so strong. Then they don't untap the next time they would, so that makes it so that you are safe for a turn. That is amazing. One of the best abilities, and definitely better than a spell in the late game. So in the beginning, the spell slinger is better, and then the wave shaper takes over. But then we come to the other stuff. Flooding a site near yours, so it facilitates what you talked about, the pirates, etc. I don't go there. I don't think that's a must. Sometimes flooding, your opponent has a root spider or whatever. So it can help also if they have sandworms, etc. They could potentially just lock it down, because the flooding of the site, that stays. That only shifts when you've used your ability again. But then the difficult part of it, it's about the body of water. So your wave shaper has to be inside the body of water, and this is not easy. That means, or how I prefer to do it, is my first site that I play is a water site, so I'm directly in my body of water. If you don't do this because you have other reasons to do it, that means you cannot rely on your ability. Then probably you will have first to take a step forwards, and then the next turn you have to be able to do it. So then it takes even longer. So I always try to have my first site a water site. Then the next thing is also true. If you want to be in your body of water, that means that your second site also needs to be a water site. But yeah, what about your two? I have a boss troll. I don't want to play a second water site. I want to be ahead. I want to hunt them down. So that makes it really difficult. So that's why when you have the swans, etc., that's a very good 2-drop to be able to cast them. And you have to really be conscious about this. If you want to make Wave Shaper work, this is actually what you have to do. Of course, if you're lucky and you have like dual sites, etc., but these are very exceptional. So what I want to do is want to put water, and then actually next to it, left and right, I also want to have water. So what I will often do is go water, and then the third one is a non-water site, and I place it in the back row. So I can start working on my other elements. So that is really the difficult part of Wave Shaper. But if you can get past it, it is so strong to lock minions down. It's also a bit of area control. And then Wave Shaper really overtakes Spellslinger. Not easy to do right, and it's always like a mental exercise, like what is better? Do I release it? Do I go? Because honestly, I'm stuck on these 5 sites. I want to draw another site, etc. But I think if played correctly, Wave Shaper is the strongest of the 4 of them, and I would tend to give it a B. B feels right.
Yeah, I also gave it a B. But honestly, I think if it was me playing it, it would not be as good as you playing it. Like, I think this is very skill intensive to play Wave Shaper, and it makes me a little nervous to actually do it. Like, if there was high stakes, I probably just would tend not to go toward Wave Shaper. But really, I just should probably get some practice in with Wave Shaper and playing water. But it's just so hard to go in that direction during a draft. It's just a little bit risky for me. So unfortunately, I have very little experience playing this card, but I do admit that it's very powerful, and I should probably be taking it more often than I actually do.
Yeah, it's something you have to learn. You just have to play with it and test it, and you will get better at it over time. And it has won me games. The ability to always disqualify the opponent's best minion, it's no joke. Yeah. Oh, you have an amazing dragon of 7 mana. Sure, I'll just tap this one then. It's fine. And a funny anecdote is that very recently, a few weeks ago, one of the drafters actually had a Wave Shaper deck with 6 Let Astrays. And so basically, he would build a tower of opponent minions because he would just Let Astray them all to the same area. And he went 3-0. I think it was in your turf. These are the extra stuff that are not necessary, but very funny to do, of course.
Okay, last card we have is Sorcerer. So, as we said in our set review. Every time we talk about this card, we have to give the caveat that like in our casual drafts, this card is banned because it's so incredibly busted. Because you open it one in every 17 packs, I believe, and someone will just always have it, and they'll just get into the late game and destroy you with card advantage. So, just to read it, so it's a 1 power avatar. It has tap to play or draw a site, and then it has tap to draw a spell. So all you have to do is just get into turn 8 or later, and you've probably drawn 3 extra cards or something, and you can just win from there. But to note, like, you are down a card at the beginning of the game, and your opponent might be able to take advantage of that and beat you down before you have the opportunity to start drawing spells. That definitely can happen, but it's just not a great experience when they turn that corner and they start drawing extra cards and you're just dead in the water. Like, you just can't really compete with that. So this is in A+, if not like an S. Like, it might be the only card in Sorcery Limited that's just like absolutely unbeatable. So what do you think about it?
Yeah, so yeah, I think so. What you say is true. So I think the luckily Arthur Legends is so fast that actually it is possible that Sorcerer is beaten down before the thing happens. But if the thing happens, then you just screwed. You will just lose the game, and it's really unfair to play against. So luckily there is a chance you can actually beat Sorcerer, but you have to be quick about it. And on the other side, if you're a Sorcerer in a fast format, you have to build a slow build. You really just want to stall, stall, stall. I don't want to attack, I just want to trade off all my minions. I just want to keep the pressure as low as I can, because the moment I will double draw, even if you have 5-powered minions and I just have 2 times 2 and 3-powered minions, we are on the same level and I will just outperform you. So unfortunately, the Sorcerer, especially towards all the other ordinary avatars, it outperforms it by a mile. And even against battle mages and all the other ones, it's one of the best avatars. It's just what were they thinking? They were thinking like, hey, we want to create a great game, so we will give real power to the players, and Sorcerer is what gives you real power. It feels amazing if you can double draw. It's fair if your opponent can do that as well. If he cannot do that as well, it is really unfair. And that is really unfortunate, because I like Spark Mage, Wave Shaper, Geomancer, Flamecaller, but against the Sorcerer, sorry, I tested multiple times, you just have no chance. Perhaps Wave Shaper of all of them, the best, but even then, not good enough. It will just stall the game.
Yeah.
Last, sorry.
Sorry. Well, I was going to say, like, the way that you should build your deck when you have a Sorcerer, we should talk about a little bit. So it's kind of weird, because if you just look at the deck list, you probably see like a really aggressive build. Like, you don't want to play anything above like 6 mana. And really, ideally, you want everything to be like between 1 and 4 mana, maybe a couple of bombs at like 5 mana. But the reason is obviously you don't want to play more sites than you need to. You want to start double drawing as early as possible. So, like I did first pack, first pick. I got Sorcerer at the Gen Con Limited Championship, and it was like the easiest 3-0 ever, basically. I mean, I had like one really close game against Ira. But if you go to Golden Eagle's channel, he actually has a recording of our final match where I actually just had like a really aggressive hand and I just curved out and beat him down. And you can just do that in Sorcerer as well. Like, obviously you still want to be prioritizing your life total. You want to survive the late game and double draw. But sometimes like you're just going to have a 1, 2, 3 and just beat down. So it's really cool. It has like 2 game plans, and it's really odd, because you like build like a really aggressive deck, but then you play it like it's a control deck. So it's very, very kind of awkward to like explain that and then be like, this is a control deck. But that's really how it plays out. And then I don't know, do we want to talk about Spellslinger at all?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do. I think it's important to understand what a Spellslinger is. So Spellslinger is the default avatar of Draft, which says start the game with 4 spells in hand, and then tap, play, or draw a site. So The only compensation is you get an extra card. All the other ones have abilities. But it does more than just having the one extra card. It actually also provides you with information. Having 3 cards in your hand or 4 cards in your hand is a difference. It really tells you about your battle plan, the options that you have. You just have more options. You have 25% more options in hand, and that really makes a difference. I think I first realized when my brother was playing with the witch, and just it's amazing the 2 damage, and there the our conclusion was very quickly like this does not compensate that one extra spell. You are just behind all the time because your opponent has just more spells, and if your spells run out, they have that extra spell in hand. So I always ask, like, how will my avatar compensate that one spell? With Flamecaller, it has to at least kill 1 minion, and then you're on the same level. So it's only at the second minion that you kill with it, there you then get that advantage. So we are talking about turn 7 or 8 at the very fastest way. GMS is different. That's why we rate it higher. That goes directly. Spark Mage, again, same thing. It takes 7, 8, 9 turns before you get to that second. So there, the Spell Slinger, you got more information, you were faster, and there it really outperforms. And then Wave Shaper we just discussed. And unfortunately, Spell Slinger falls into nothingness in comparison to Sorcerer because he just draws 5 extra cards. And there it is just not relevant, I think. But yeah, it's always a good consideration if you have also any of the other avatars, or if you can pick an Archimago, for instance. Like, wow, with Archimago, that means that your ability has to have 6 spells in your graveyard before you can actually have. So that is just nonsense to me. So well, I think Spellslinger actually is quite well balanced and a very good default avatar. But in comparison to the old days where Sorcerer was the default, yeah, the game has changed because of it.
Yeah, it is really interesting to talk about. Like, I've heard people come from Constructed or other games and be like, "Oh, Spellslinger's so boring. Like, I wish there was a different default or something." But then, like, and I might have thought that when I very first started playing Limited, or like when Spellslinger was revealed as the new default, I was like, "Oh, okay, this is a little bit boring, but at least we don't have Sorcerer anymore. That's like powering everything out." But then it turns out, like, well, Spellslinger actually does power out some of the other more interesting avatars, like, yeah, I will just play Spellslinger over Spark Mage or Flamecaller most of the time. And Archimago, yeah, just is not good at all compared to Spellslinger. Like, there's a bunch of avatars that just aren't really playable because they're just not as good as having an extra card in your hand. So, yeah, don't underestimate Spellslinger. Don't just take any other avatar and think that you're getting an upgrade. The one extra card really does matter.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
Okay. Anything else we need to talk about?
Nope, I think this is the ordinary. I think we went through them all. So,
Yeah. Okay.
job done.
Cool. All right. Thanks a lot for joining me, Nick. This was a lot of fun. We'll be back soon with our exceptional review. And yeah, until next time, I guess.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye, Nick. Thanks so much for watching. I would appreciate if you would like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps out the channel a lot. Since I joined YouTube, I realized the power of likes and comments. It's like handing out free money to content creators. It costs you nothing to do, and it shows YouTube that you got value out of this video, and it gets recommended to more people. So I went through and I made this visual reference for you guys. There is also a link to my Google Drive folder where you can download this image if you wanted it on your phone or computer. I combined Nick's and my grades together and put each card into a row showing about where we graded it. I combined some rows together, but this should be pretty clear what cards we like and which we don't. I hope you guys get some value out of it. I also have a link to the Google spreadsheet where I collected both of our grades if you want to see the grades one by one and really get into the weeds. Okay, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the beta exceptional review very soon.